Okay, what does your chat say?
That was before.
Oh, you okay? So it's okay. I thought okay. So that okay.
Y'all had Ms. Hermes tracking me, so I wanted y'all to know I was in here.
Yeah, we tracking you. I didn't see the chat. I didn't see the chat.
Y'all be doing me so wrong. Call her
no,
out.
We doing the same. Yeah.
Call everywhere. Track her down.
No, we gonna check on it. We gonna check on you now, cause we in particular this team, cause I was nervous about this team, cause we had a lot of offs off this team. So we're like, oh my God, cause the first thing I woke up this morning, if we have anybody else drop out, we're not gonna have a team maybe. so anyway, now, so we're happy to have you.
You know I wouldn't listen. You know I wouldn't do you like that.
Well, I know you wouldn't do it intentionally, but stuff happens in people's lives, you know.
That's true. That's the only way. Is if I had no control. That's the only way it would have happened.
We've had every scenario you could imagine, but we did have a team leader in the hospital that morning, and we were waiting on her. And then I said that's not usual. She never does that. So I called her assistant, and she was major surgery in the hospital. But anyway, we need to go ahead and do orientation before the speakers come on. So what I want to start off doing is, and good morning, everybody, is everybody introducing themselves to one another. So how about you start out, our fearless leader, Miss Cara.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you all. Listen, this COVID situation right here, I love people, and so I miss people, and so any opportunity to get to see them, even if it's virtually, is great. Today's going to be a great day. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith, and I'm serving as the team lead. My day job is at CareerSource Capital Region, where I serve as senior director. I have been involved with the CHSP process since I was 10 years old. It's just been that fun. So let's have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Okay. And I do want you we'll go ahead and Rosemary.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Rosemary Farrell. Currently stay-at-home mom, but background in nonprofit management. And then I worked for Leon County for the department and over CHSP. So I've done that too, and just excited to be here. I love this process, and I think it's super important for what we do in the community. So I'm excited to be able to be involved this year again.
Shantina, I'm sorry, I was still on mute. That's something you got to remember to do. Unmute when you're speaking, mute when you're not. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Shantina.
Okay, well, I'm Shantina Allen, currently doing primarily human resources with a private association and a for-profit company that are kind of combined. I also have a background in workforce development, social services, and life full of volunteerism. I love the CHP process. I think it's so important. It's a wonderful opportunity to stay engaged and involved and to really know what's in our community, but to stay in touch with the community needs. So this is a process that I've always valued, so I make the time to do it.
How long you been doing it for, Shantina?
I don't know, maybe 5, 6-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, about 6, probably about 6.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on, and so I'm gonna kind of make y'all. We're gonna go faster now, but just Betty, just giving your name. Right now, Betty represents retirement world, and then so Betty, want to introduce yourself, please? Unmute yourself.
Okay, Betty Rivers, you hear me now? Okay, Betty Rivers, and I'm retired, city retirement. And right now I'm working with the Delta Kappa Omega Foundation through my sorority, and keeps me very busy. And I have been a part of this process, the volunteer team aspect, for 3 years now. And I found myself back in grant writing now, so I do grant writing and as well. So, but anyway,
thank you, Betty. We're gonna move. I gotta move us. Okay, Chris. Just briefly, quickly introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Wells, Program Director for the Sickle Cell Foundation. I'm an MSW, currently working on becoming licensed. So
wonderful. And so let's talk about the format for the day and some of the housekeeping things that we need to cover. How many people? Because here's how we've been going. The format for the presentation. Just kind of do an overview first. First of all, Cara will introduce herself first as a team leader. What I think is just important to let them know what your name is, the organization that you work with. Okay, that'll be our introductions, and then how many years you've done CHSP, and then that's it. And then we'll do quick introductions, and then the next would be the other staff. So it would be Rosemary, Betty, and Chris. You will introduce yourself. So let's just have a certain order. So Cara introduces herself first, Rosemary second, Betty Rivers third, Chris, you would be fourth. The last person to introduce themselves would be Shantina as a timekeeper. She's going to let them know that she is the timekeeper. And that they will have 20 minutes to present. And the way the format goes, that we will, since we only have a limitation of how many representatives, the agencies can have 5. So what we've been doing, and just to give a little bit of humanity in a kind of a virtual process, is go ahead and what you would do, Shantina, is ask them to introduce the representatives of their agency, but only by name and the role that they play in that organization. That's it. And as soon as they finish introducing themselves, you tell them that's when the 20 minutes starts. And then you would give them, and that's only for questions and answers from this body, okay? They can, Rosemary, you're coming at a time when it's very condensed. We had to eliminate the site visits. We had to eliminate where the agency do formal presentations. Like normally they would have 30 minutes to present their program, 10 minutes to present their budget, and then 20 minutes for question and answer. We've had to skip all of that because we are in a condensed process for CHSP. Okay. Shantina, you're on mute.
I have to remember to unmute. I said I just wanted to affirm, flat out 20 minutes. They're not getting a separate 10 minutes for budget or anything. So when their time starts at that 20 minutes, that's what it's going to be. Okay, and then I know in the past we gave them indicators.
Yeah, so what you'll do is, because everybody don't have, because some of the agencies will have only telephone capacity, so they can't necessarily see us. They might just be listening in. So unfortunately, you're going to have to give verbal. So we're just saying at the 5-minute mark and at the 1-minute mark.
Okay.
And then you shut it down. And here's a couple of pointers to keep us flowing well. Basically with Cara, Shantina, I'm thinking of Katila just managing the time. Cara, you're going to have to be watching the your committee members to see if they have questions and processing that. And Shantina, you're going to have to be managing the time management becomes more important. So, for example, if you ask a question, I think you ought to make sure you ask what you think are the most fundamental questions first that directly impact your decision making about funding. Some things are nice to know, but there's no fluff in 20 minutes. So let's keep it. So even if you have questions, make sure you ask your most important questions first. Make sure that all of your colleagues have a chance to ask questions so that you don't hog it with just your questions. But I think what's most important too is once they've answered that question, shut it down. Because what happens, we've seen this over and over again, they start in that presentation marketing format where I'm presenting, I'm marketing my program. And so you know it, the time is over. So I think even Shantina, when you talk about the 20 minutes, tell them that part of that is that they're going to have to answer the questions precisely, and so that we can have an opportunity to ask as many questions as possible and get information. So you're not trying to be rude to them, but we're trying to make sure it's in their best interest that you have all the information you need to make sound decisions. Mm-hmm. And so if you need to, you're going to have to cut them off. Okay.
I have no problem doing that.
Okay. And what they do sometimes, even when they're introducing themselves, they some of them will get into a spiel. You know, all we want to know is your name and the role you play. That's it. If there's something else we can that's important. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need I'm thinking of Rosemary or Chris. I need a couple of you to kind of focus on certain aspects so we can move. We need to make sure, for example, that we're referencing last year's award letter. So, Chris, are you familiar with the award letters for the agencies? Unmute, Chris.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was able to locate them online.
Okay. They'll be in the agency's notes.
In the notes section?
Yeah. So if you go to, are you on your computer or are you on the, see it, I don't know, how many devices do you have? One?
3. Yeah, I've got 3.
Yeah, that's good because I got 2 devices. You need about 2 to do this to make it work well.
Right.
So I want you to open up a device and have the CHSP portal open.
Yeah, I got
application. So go to the agency, and Sala, you might can even direct them even better. Sala, direct Sala. Or Anita, is Anita on the line?
Give her a second. There's a delay when you're unmuting.
Oh, okay. Can you direct? Sala, can you direct Chris to the award letters?
Yeah.
Hey, what was that? Anita, did you say something?
Hey, that was Cara.
I heard you call my name.
Yeah. I was just saying I want somebody to direct Chris to the award letter because I want Chris to be in charge of looking at the last year's award letters.
So, Chris, are you in the portal?
Yep, I'm in there.
So, to the left, you see the tabs where you see applications and agencies.
Yep.
Click on agencies.
Uh-huh.
You will click on the agency's name.
Yep.
And at the top, you will see the toolbar where you have different things. You'll see a yellow sheet of paper with with a pencil stuck in it.
Yeah, applicate. Okay.
That says Notes and Communications.
Uh-huh.
Click on that.
Yep.
And you will scroll down and you will see the first award letter should be the 1920 award letter. Just depends on which agency you clicked on. They may have more items in their Notes and Communications.
Oh, wait, so I have to click the award letter bubble. It's not coming up for me.
So are you in Notes and Communications?
Yes. Is it just click no, that says upload a document.
So what agency are you in?
I'm in the first one.
What's the name of it?
Hold on, let me back up.
So it's FSU, the programmer's pre-collegiate division.
No, I'm talking about in the portal.
Oh, Mercy. Sorry, I thought I was being helpful.
Okay, TCC is what I'm in.
TCC. Okay, so go back to Notes and Communications.
Yep.
And if you scroll down, you should see a title that says 2019-20 award letter.
It's the 4th one down on the way mine is sorted. It's like the.
Okay, I see it.
So
award letter.
In the actual
September 11th, 19.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Uploaded by Tiffany.
Yes, probably. Yes, Tiffany Harris or Tiffany Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep, I've got it.
Okay, and then if you scroll down to the second page, you should see the comments.
Right, and just make sure they've addressed these comments for this year.
Yes.
Absolutely. So if anything that looks like a finding or a concern, we need to make sure that that question is answered, that we address that question and concern with the agency, okay?
Yeah, so for example, this said looks like there's 3 second-year recommendations. Should those be addressed?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so I actually reviewed all of the award letters and created questions based on that, and it's still the second year recommendation, and then after that it becomes a finding. Is that still the?
Well, it depends on what the recommendation is. If it's something that seriously jeopardizes the program. So, Cara, do you want to focus on the award letter questions since you've reviewed them all?
No, let Chris do it. But just in case, do know I got you. I got your back up. I back you up.
Okay, so we got 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So
And I was not able to open up the zip file that you all sent that said Team 9 questions. So I don't know what the questions are that were previously submitted for them to address, because I was not able to open that document for whatever reason. My system
no
would
worries.
not allow
I'll
me
work
to
on
open
that
it.
on the backside, and I'll get that sent out.
Okay.
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 And if you can unzip
Rosemary.
it, I can't open that. I don't know what that
I'll
is.
just attach the PDFs. Okay.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I will say that for every little note that I had on when I peeked at it, I was like, oh, Rosemary wrote the same question. So there were certain things that I didn't even feel the need to even reiterate. So
just to make it ease with you, you can just open it up and let them ask their questions that they submitted, because they do have their own questions. And so you could open it up and just say, okay, the first question will come from you, Cara. As a team leader, you ask every agency in 5 minutes or less, okay, to respond to that COVID-19 question regarding how has the COVID-19 affected their ability to implement the program, and and how has it, what are some of the things they've done to remedy the barriers created by COVID-19? How has it affected their agency budget? But we're particularly concerned. They may give us some agency-wide, but we really want them to narrow down to the program, your ability to effectively implement these programs and continue to provide the services, because that's going to also impact your funding.
So just to be clear, how much time do we get for the Q&A?
20 minutes.
If you're giving them 20 minutes for their presentation, there's only...
No. Let me clarify again. They do not have, they will not give you a presentation, period. There is no presentation in this format, period. Everything, this is simply a question and answer, period. And so they are only...
So it's just the question. They're not even doing any intros. Just of their staff, not even the program. Okay.
Right. No, they go right. Yeah, they.
So we're basically looking at so they'll introduce themselves, then I'll ask the first question, and then we'll turn it over to the team for questions. Is that correct? And then Chris will monitor the looks like the agency's here.
Yeah, we're running behind.
Just
so
kidding.
everybody
He
knows
left.
I just sent I think it was 10 or 11 attachments. I think they were 10, but I just sent all of you the PDF individual questions for the agencies.
Thank you. And so the persons that submitted questions will ask their questions as well, but the agency should be prepared to respond since they got it in advance. Got it. And then any additional questions that come up that weren't addressed, should we have time, we can ask those at that time.
Correct. And I think it's probably, if you want to think about priorities, again, even if there are second or third year recommendations, we do need to address that, but only ones that are pertinent. The other question that we got to get answered too because of the COVID virus, how has that impacted their funding request with CHSP? And let them explain to you what are the essential funding needs and if they're asking for additional money, we really need to understand why did they need that additional money. I do want you to know, and we're going to wrap it up and bring in the agency, but just so you'll understand, we did give the agencies an extra, almost an extra few weeks because the COVID-19 impacted agencies. So they were originally it was 5 weeks. It was extended to additional weeks. So they had opportunity to go into their applications and refine the applications. Okay. Some people chose to do it. Some people did. And with that, I'm going to be in the background and let you, Ms. Cara, it's your show.
All righty.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You guys just let me know once they've entered.
I was waiting. I didn't know if you wanted him in yet or not.
So is he the only one? The first one is the FSU Care. Is he the only one from his agency?
They might be in a conference room with several agency people.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Some of them are doing that. Shantina?
You're on mute, Shantina.
I got you. You're unmuted.
I was saying they are limited to 5 intros, correct? 5 individuals.
Well,
yep.
I mean, they may have. Yeah, that's only how many people can get signed in, but they could have 6. But the main thing is name,
role.
That's it.
Okay, they're rolling in, so.
Okay.
All righty. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Stark.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Great. Welcome to the 2020 Citizens Review process for the CHSP grant. Of course, we are adapting to our new normal, or our current normal, as I call it. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith. I work with CareerSource Capital Region as a Senior Director, and I will serve as the team lead for this year, for this team, and I will go ahead and have the team introduce themselves, and then we'll give you other directions after that.
Rosemary Farrell, Community Advocate.
Omega Foundation, 3-year Kingdom team.
Chris Wells, I'm Program Director of the Sickle Cell Foundation.
Go ahead, Rosemary.
Rosemary is already gone, right? Shantina?
Good morning. I believe we changed our order. I'm Sean Allen. I work with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association, and I've been a part of this process for 6 years. I'll be serving as your timekeeper this morning, and just want you to know that after your introductions, you will have 20 minutes for a Q&A. I will give you indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. And I just want to remind you, because we have such a condensed time frame, to make sure that you are really answering the question. And also, we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to come back and ask our questions. So we're going to hold you very closely to our timelines, okay? I'll give you indicators at 5 minutes and 1 minute. Your time will start right after your staff introductions, and you will only be sharing the name and your role with the organization.
Excuse me just for a second. Reminder, when you're not speaking, please mute yourself, and all of this noise will go away, okay?
Thank you. Okay, so just to reiterate, your staff will share the name and the role, and after that time, I will start the timer. You'll get a reminder at 5 minutes and 1 minute, okay? Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll start off by saying nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Tadaryl Stark. I am the director for Florida State's Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement. And also on the call, we have one additional individual. She can introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Inika Williams, and I serve as the Assistant Director at CARE.
And so I guess we're ready. Ms. Inika actually is in charge of all of our middle and high school programs within our department. So I guess we're ready for the questions.
All right, very good. So I'll start with the first question. Thank you, Mr. Stark and team for being here again. So the first question that we'd like for you to address is to share with us how the COVID-19 has impacted your program. We are both interested in your program delivery, your ability to be able to effectively serve your population. How has it impacted your budget? And certainly we're interested in ways you've had to pivot to ensure that you're satisfying the mission.
Okay, no problem. I'll talk a little bit, and Ms. Williams will also chime in. So one of the biggest things is we immediately had to cut off all of our activities that were in person, including our college tours and career tours and things of that nature. And we had to transition to an online kind of delivery model. And so what we really have done is utilize Zoom, Google Classrooms, and other online platforms and modules to be able to make sure that we still find a way to meet with our students, to engage them, and to be able to engage their parents as well. And so, of course, initially we were a little slower to start, but I think we have a good plan in terms of engaging with our summer program. Ms. Williams can talk a little bit more about the more day-to-day in terms of what we did to end the spring and then what we're preparing for this summer.
So yes, just to add on to what Dr. Stark shared, we first met with the assistant principal and the site coordinator to gain input in terms of what technology needs our students had or did not have, and then we met with our parents to also gain additional feedback on how we can best meet the student needs. So most of our students, they did not have laptops, so they had a package that they received from their school district to complete for the spring semester. And so we had our tutors to connect with our students to be able to provide that academic assistance in the completion of those packets. And we also met with them. Most of them had to call in because, again, they lacked the technology to be able to Zoom in and participate in those Zoom activities. So we held everything over the phone. And so our mentors connected with the students that way, and they provided the academic advising, again, still continue with the tutoring and assistance, and was able to, again, provide that mentor piece that we started initially from the fall semester.
So to try to bridge that gap with technology, what we were able to, we thankfully were approved for a budget amendment of this year. And so we're purchasing the students' laptop computers for them to be able to connect to all of our summer programming virtually using the current funds from CHSP process. And so the students will be involved in a lot of different activities, such as a robotics class. We'll be having online parent meetings. We actually have a culinary arts program that they'll be doing, where we have a staff member who will be working with them and doing live cooking with the students to kind of talk about healthy eating and healthy habits. And then we'll be hosting virtual college tours. So the colleges we were going to visit, we were able to arrange for them to devote some times and sessions for us to do virtual tours with them there. So students will be able to do that. And we're also doing a foreign language lab. So we're getting students Rosetta Stone, and then we're walking through unit modules for them to be able to learn a foreign language during this summer. So we're really focusing on academics, but we've really tried to shift to an online engagement model. And our mentors will still be in presence, and they'll be providing mentoring virtually, as well as some just social downtime. So it's not always work. It is a time for them to just come together as well.
Okay, thank you. So I'll turn it over to the rest of the team. Rosemary, we'll start with you with any questions that you may have had.
Okay. Well, one, I want to say that's an impressive switch. I mean, to be able to provide all that for students in a short period of time is really impressive. So congratulations on that. You got, I assume, my question beforehand, but I did want to ask about the lack of an advisory board, given obviously the FSU Board of Trustees is not not controlled by you guys, and understandably, and how would that, how do you meet, knowing the client's perspectives, not having that advisory board? So go ahead.
Yes, it is always a challenge with us because of our structure as a unit at Florida State. But what we try to do is make sure that we focus on the student and their families' voices, as well as the schools, because we consider them to be clients as well. And so we have monthly parent meetings, or more frequently if it's a major trip or something happening, where we can not only talk about what's going on in the program and what's going on with them. They can give us feedback about what their students need, what they need as parents, what information they need. We also send newsletters and emails to them so they're always abreast of what's going on and have an open line of communication. We meet with school personnel on a regular basis to talk about, we don't believe in a one-size-fits-all. So if we work with Griffin Middle School, for example, we're going to want to know what Griffin Middle School students need as we provide that service, as opposed to any student at a different school. And so we continue to meet with them and talk with them on a very regular basis. Ms. Williams actually goes out and meets with their administration either in person or now digitally. We have participant meetings and group meetings. Both we do them with our mentors, and we get debriefs from our mentors in regards to what are the students saying, what do we need to do, what is missing. And then when we talk to the students ourselves, we find out what do they want to do. So some of our assignments, for example, is about finding their college they would love to go to. And we use the responses from those assignments to be able to say, okay, maybe we should take a tour here because 10 students said they all want to go to FAMU. Let's arrange a visit to FAMU. Also, we have open writing. We have a creative writing kind of component. And so we're able to kind of have them to express what's going on, some things they're afraid of and things. So we might be able to provide workshops and sessions around some things that may be apprehensive. I think one of the other parts is when we're hiring a new full-time staff member, we actually have students and parents part of the process. Okay. So they will sit on the committee with our staff, or we will actually create an entire committee just of the students for them to be able to meet with any of the candidates. Actually, Ms. Williams was hired a little over a year ago, and part of her process was that students were there after school, and she would meet with them, and then they got to weigh in on whether they thought she and any of the other candidates would be good fits. So we definitely try to make sure to keep their voices heard.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Rosemary, do you have any other pertinent questions that you want to ask?
That was it. Thank you.
So just to follow up on that real quick, have there been plans to create one, or that's not of interest to you all?
Yeah, so a while ago in the older days, we actually had one. We had a lot of transitions with staffing and things of that nature. Ms. Williams is here, and she may be able to speak to it, but she actually has plans now. Usually what our advisory board would consist of are community members, some of the parents as well, and some of the school representatives that we are engaged formally in. And I think if she has anything to add, because she will be forming that starting this fall.
Okay.
And yes, that is accurate. We are currently putting together, we've already assessed who would be interested in participating on the board for the fall semester. And so we should be able to have that up and running most certainly by August, September.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
You're
All right,
welcome.
Betty?
I have a question. Yes, I have a question. How many students are you working with during the summer now?
We have 30 students who are registered that would benefit from the services and the grant.
Okay, you work with that group now during the summer? Oh, okay.
Yes, it's an extension of what we did in the academic school year, so most of them have registered, and we will be working with them for 4 weeks this summer.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And we also, our programming continues, so after the summer, they'll continue with us throughout the fall term as well, so going into next school year.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah. Curious, how do you engage with homeless students? Are you all working with homeless students?
So we do not currently have any, well, to our knowledge. Some may be, because mostly what we engage them is through their school or after-school program. At Griffin in particular, we actually set up 2 days a week where we go to the school, so they would already be there. It's self-disclosure kind of information. So if they haven't disclosed, we wouldn't know. So we actually don't have any categorized, but we're sure there may be some. We have special programs at Florida State that focus on students who are homeless, foster care, wards of the state, and things of that nature. So we have a licensed social worker who is an associate director of care who also is able to connect us to resources and things to support those students. But we don't have any identified who are considered homeless.
Do you all coordinate with the Kearney Center or the Hope Community Center? Are you all in partnership with them at all?
We don't have a formal partnership. What we've done, because of our primary funding from the College Reach Out program, the state of Florida, that operates our pre-collegiate division, we operate primarily through the school system. However, I think that is an avenue that we can explore as we have new staff who are specifically dedicated to that homeless student population. We just hired a brand new program manager coordinator that Florida State was able to revise a position so that there's a new contact that Ms. Williams and her staff will be able to work through who has those connections with the Kearney Center and stuff, but also Big Bang Cares and things for foster care students and other students who are what we call our program Unconquered Scholars, other students who would qualify in that regard.
Okay. Chris, were there any items from the last cycle that needed to be addressed?
I don't see any findings. I'm not seeing any findings from last year.
Okay. Shantina, did you have any specific questions?
I'm just double checking here. I noticed you mentioned several of your collaborative relationships here. And I know previously we had made mention regarding making a distinction between FSU and TCC and the services that were provided, but I didn't hear very much language. Have you cut back the services that are provided specifically to TCC, or is that folded into another area? Could you clarify, please?
So to be completely transparent, we have made multiple attempts to work with them. I had almost a 6-hour meeting over a year ago with their who was their director at the time. And so they have not followed up with our attempts to support and work with them. What we have done is just focused on providing opportunity to students within the school systems. They don't technically operate a college reach out program anymore. They're institutionally based now, as opposed to the old network where we were kind of sister organizations. But we have made repeated attempts. I used to actually be the director over there, so that's why we've tried to keep a relationship with them, and understanding that they have limitations in terms of the academics because of the way that their structure was. But we will continue to reach out because we just want to make sure not only there's not duplication of services, but that we really provide the maximum support for low-income students in Leon County.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. How much time do we have, Ms. Allen?
Actually, 7 minutes.
Okay. So, team, did you all have any additional questions? Betty, I didn't know if you asked all your questions that you had. Okay. So with that being said, I do have another question. So I know that you're not able, because of your structure, you're not necessarily able to do your own fundraising, I believe. Is that what I understand? And so I want to find out what percentage of FSU Foundation funds come to your program. I mean, are there specific activities to support your program through the FSU Foundation?
So yes, we don't do our own fundraising. The foundation does a lot of that. In regards to the I couldn't tell you exactly the percentage because we do have multiple accounts that donors give to, and those do go to a lot of different areas. CARE as a department, we have 13 different programs that those fundraising dollars go to. Plus, of course, a lot of the fundraising goes to student scholarships and support for that. That is actually the line item of almost all of our donations. However, we do have a fund. I call it more of a general fund for students. And so that is accessible to our pre-collegiate as well as our collegiate divisions, which the collegiate division is not funded under CHSP, but it is accessible. So what we've done in the past is we use that as needed, whether in the summer programming they need IDs that may not be able to be purchased, student IDs for them to be able to get on the bus and come here and things, we would use that. But we would also use that for meals and snacks and things when we may not have any additional funds remaining for that. We've also used it to help support other additional students. So if we only had enough funding for 35 students, we would use our foundation accounts to be able to add the 1, 2, 3, 4 students above for something. And that usually comes in handy when it's the summer housing, when we're living in the Southern Scholarship Foundation for the summer, that we may have a couple students who need to cover those charges. But the exact amount I couldn't give you because it is managed a lot through them, and most of it is all scholarship dollars, but we do get a considerable amount.
You're just under 5 minutes.
Okay, so the request for additional funding for this year, is that still relevant considering the current normal?
It is. I think it's still relevant. As you see from the previous year, I mean, we went well above the 35 that we were going to serve. We have students that even last summer, for example, we had a waiting list because we couldn't serve all of the students in our summer program. We kind of restricted right now to how many we can serve based on current funding levels and obviously COVID-19, what can we do? But what we would definitely hope to do is expand that. Particularly, we know there's going to be technology needs that some of these students are going to have. Even if they get the borrowed laptops and things from the schools, there's the possibility, as you all know, in the summer, next summer, when we still run programming, if we're still in this new normal, they still may need technology. And so that would be another group of students who would need some additional funding there. If we are back in person, then there's going to have to be the consideration of the physical residential program. So we already know we did not have to realize increasing in housing costs, but we know that'll be a reality for next summer as well, as many programs will try to recoup their losses from this year. So,
Mr. Stark, Ms. Williams, thank you so much for answering our questions. Thank you so much for your service to this community. Continue to stay safe, and we will see you soon. All right, I think we're good, right, team? Okay.
All right, well, I just want to thank you all and just wish you all to be safe and well as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tadera, and your new lady. Nice to thank you, but that may not be true for all of the programs. We did have some.
Rosemary, can you look at the outcomes? Can I have you do that? Okay.
Yes, I can do that.
And that means your order will change. So I'll go to Betty and Chris, and then you. Just to give you a little more time if you need to.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll add that. We'll add that to our list of things, Ms. Pat.
Okay, and thank you for asking that funding question, because that's a critical question, right?
Yeah.
We think about what your decision making tree. What are the points of decisions that you make based what information you need? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought you guys did a great job, and you have relieved my stress for the day. Cara, you didn't hear me earlier, Cara, but several people on your committee we canceled it, so it kept dwindling down. Even 2 days ago, someone told us, "Hey, we can't come." And
well,
so
I noticed. I know we're down to 5 people, right?
I started getting nervous. I said, suppose we went, like you do all that work and set up a party and no one attends. My God. So I was a little anxious this morning. I said, if anybody drops out, I'm in trouble.
I tried to help her out. I tried to help her out, Cara. I told her that
and just to add to it, it's all virtual, right? So it's kind of completely different. You've had to pivot like 100%. And now,
Cara, I did try to help Pat out this morning with her anxiety. I told her that you had the presence of mind because when I saw you in another forum recently, you said, "Hey, timekeeper," so you had the presence of mind. You were coming.
That's right. That's right. So, okay. So I think, yeah. Is Amy a part of the other agency?
Already working on it. Yep.
Okay, thanks. Virginia, don't mind me. I've been on these virtual meetings like for 3 months. I'm like, we have a crasher. No.
Yeah, no, we don't allow trespassing.
So if you need to go to the restroom, we're actually going to start at the designated time, so that would be 9.
Remind me where the mute button was?
Scroll towards the bottom of your application, and some bubbles pop up. The first one with the microphone with the line through it.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our current normal, to the Citizens Review Team 2020 CHSP review process. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith, and I work with Career Source Capital Region as Senior Director, and I will serve as the team lead for this most amazing team today, and so we'll have the rest of the team introduce themselves. Betty, you're on mute.
Okay. Betty Rivers, retired, and I've served on the team for 3 years.
Rosemary Farrell, Community Advocate.
Good morning, everyone. Chris Wells, Sickle Cell Foundation Program Director.
Good morning, Sean Allen with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I will also be serving as your timekeeper this morning. Just so you know, you will have a total of 20 minutes. We will start with the introductions of the staff. You will share your name and your role only. And after your introductions are complete, I will start the timer. You will get an indicator at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. So at 5 minutes and at 1 minute, I will give you a heads up. And then, because we want to make sure that our team has adequate time to answer ask any additional questions. So I'll go ahead and give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I am Margot Thomas. I'm the program director for the Take Stock in Children program at Tallahassee Community College. And my team, I guess, can respond and introduce themselves. Okay, maybe not.
Okay.
Hold on. You were muted. There you go. Start over.
My name is Jennifer Shaw. I'm the Contract and Grants Coordinator at TCC for this program.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. It looks like my computer froze. Good morning. I'm Amy Bradbury. I'm the Director of Responsive Programs here at Tallahassee Community College.
Shantina, okay. Start over, Shantina.
Start over, Shantina.
You were on mute.
Oh, my apologies. Your time starts now.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready when you are. Do you want me to just answer the questions that were sent, or are you going to ask the questions?
I think Cara is speaking, but I don't hear her.
Hey, Margot.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Cara.
She will tell you.
I'm going to go ahead and get us started with the first question, and then we'll address the others that may have been sent to you, and there may be others that we have as well, should we have time. So the first question for you is, how has the COVID-19 situation, how has it impacted your agency, your program operations, your budget, your ability to effectively deliver the programs and the mission, your budget? We want to hear all about it.
Okay, the major effect for us for COVID-19 is, of course, we mentor students, and we typically have once a month college readiness workshops on campus. So because we couldn't have the group sessions and we couldn't meet in schools, we had to find ways to do it virtually. Thankfully for us, Take Stock in Children was planning on rolling out a mentor app during the fall semester. So during the plan was that during the summer, we'll kind of work through, test it out, and go through the kinks. Well, we had to roll it out during spring and test the kinks out as we were going through the process. So that was a little bit difficult. The other thing, of course, was for most of the students who were accustomed to us being face-to-face, now we're trying to do it virtually. We're trying to do Zoom meetings. We're trying to learn the Mentor app and teach. We're learning it as well as teaching the students how to use it and teaching the mentors how to use it. So that was a little bit difficult, and we're still trying to work through the process of actually getting all of the kinks out. We know that next year we're going to be affected significantly because we've already been notified that Leon County Schools, we haven't heard yet from Wakulla and Gadsden, but we know that volunteers won't be allowed in the schools next year, especially during the fall semester. So this summer, we've already started the planning phase on how we would be doing all of our workshops and everything else electronically. Budget-wise, of course, we stopped travel and all of those things, so we wouldn't have been able to use some of the money for it just because we weren't going to be in there. And then, of course, we had to cancel a couple, I think one workshop for April. So those were the major impacts. For us, is more seeing the students that we don't have the face-to-face, so that was a little bit difficult.
Okay, thank you so much. I now move to other members of the team for their questions, some of which may have been or may not have been pre-set to you. So we'll start with Betty.
Oh, yes. I'd like to know your student attendance virtually. How's that working out for you during your transition?
It didn't work out as well for us during the spring semester just because, well, one was we figured out that most schools did. Many students didn't have computers or they didn't have internet access. So part of our job during the first few weeks was also partnering with the schools and trying to get equipment for our students to be able to use. And then also even working, on the grounds, trying to make sure that students had food, which was another issue that we had. So we didn't have as great attendance as we would have liked, but as we move forward, we will work on making sure that students know the importance of attending the mentor sessions and that they are on and that they know that, a part of their scholarship requires them to do this. So it wouldn't be more of a shock to them as it was during the spring. So I think we'll have a little bit more control over it as we move into the fall semester.
Okay, you mentioned food. How are you handling that?
Well, we worked with the schools and having some of our staff actually go to some of the school distribution centers and dropping off food to students who may not have had it. So we would call the student, let them know that we're bringing food. We would drop it off at their door, leave, and then call them again and say, okay, your food is there. Your package is there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Betty. Chris?
So have you all developed or added community members to your advisory board? Have you looked at doing that?
We have started. We added Willinus Jackson, African-American male, to our to the roster. He's a local pastor. We have talked with a couple of parents, trying to get parents who are not busy has been a little bit difficult. So we have a couple of parents who may be interested and we're going to work with them as we move forward into our planning.
Okay. What about developing a fundraising plan? Have you all developed any fundraising plans?
Well, our major fundraising obviously is always grants. I'm going out and trying to get other grants for Take Stock in Children. With TCC, the foundation does all fundraising outside of applying for grants for any program on campus. And so we've been doing, so they fundraise for the scholarships that we provide for the students. And then in terms of programming, we go out and get grants. So this year, we have applied for Bank of America again, which was a grant that we had applied for before. And then we added a Sprint community grant. We usually won't know if we've been awarded it until probably mid-July, early August. And so that it will help with some of the funding that we have to do as we go through this year.
Okay. Any other questions, Chris?
Nope, not at this time.
So can I follow up on one of the questions that Chris asked? So what has been your greatest challenge in diversifying the makeup of your advisory?
The biggest thing is getting parents who are willing to participate, who are willing to come to meetings. I have found that for a lot of the students that we have, for parents who are working, because we're dealing with low income, many of the parents are working during the day. We have considered maybe moving our advisory meetings to later in the day to accommodate some of those parents. But we've put out requests and in most cases hadn't really gotten a whole lot of response to it. We have considered Latino, but our issue with our Latino parents is that most of them don't speak English. And so we would really love to have a Latino person on, just because having someone that would be able to speak to the parents who also don't speak English would be a great help for us as well.
Okay, and then a follow-up to the fundraising. So what percentage of, the dollars from the TCC Foundation, you said that your scholarships go through there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what percentage of your budget would you say is coming from these fundraising efforts?
It's probably 10% maybe.
Okay.
Most of the funding comes from Take Stock in Children. So the majority of it comes from Take Stock in Children, just because they provide dollars based on the number of students we serve.
Okay, thank you so much. Rosemary?
You're welcome.
Hi. Chris, well, we've kind of touched on the advisory board question I had. I would say maybe consider parents, like past parents, who maybe their kids are out of the house, and so maybe they're not quite as busy as they were when all their kids were in the house, or maybe former students. That's another avenue. So just a suggestion on my part. But my question was about the upcoming year budget. It only reflects the CHSP ask, and I was just curious why the Take Stock in Children money or other fundraising money wasn't reflected in the proposed fiscal year budget.
That was an error on our part.
Okay.
I sent an advised one to Virginia this morning. The total amount,
we have it.
Okay, the total amount is $115,120. The $100,120 comes from Take Stock, and which includes a TCC's portion, which is $29,000, which is a part of my salary. So TCC pays half of my salary. Everything else comes from Take Stock in Children.
Okay. All right. And then I had one other question. Can you talk about or maybe explain, as far as I know, obviously FSU has their pre-collegiate division and you guys have Take Stock in Children, like how, if at all, you coordinate, or how you overlap or don't overlap, just kind of maybe some similarities and differences, and how that could be maybe strengthened if possible. I don't know.
I think our biggest the biggest thing for us with in terms of the differences is that many of our students, although they would love to go to FSU or FAMU, many of them don't do well initially. They need that transition. So the majority of our students, the GPA is probably 2.75, somewhere there, to 3.5. The ones that are over may be able to, but we have found that a lot of those students who may have good grades don't do well testing. And so, especially in our math. So one example would be, we had a student who was adamant about going to FSU. And when she went, she didn't have the math score. So she was taking developmental math classes, which obviously the credits, you're paying the amount, the credits don't go anywhere, and failed it, and then took regular math classes and then failed those. And if I'm not mistaken, because she hadn't communicated once the scholarship ran out, that she is probably no longer at FSU. So even though for us, a lot of our students want to go straight to university, based on our experiences, many of them don't. I have had a few conversations with Daryl at FSU, and we talked about some partnerships, but we couldn't figure out exactly how to work that, where students wouldn't then say, oh, well, we kind of have this thing where we can obviously go to FSU and not to TCC. Our other issue, obviously, is that the scholarships are funded through TCC, and when the funding comes through, those donors are expecting for students to actually come to TCC and not go to any other school. And so that's something that we've always been trying to balance. How do we maintain the scholarships that are coming in? And then also, how do we maintain the integrity of the program, knowing that some of our students will not be successful going straight into the university level because they're going from a class of maybe 25 to 30 students in high school to now a class of maybe 75 to 100, which becomes overwhelming. And then add to the fact of, many of them are working because they have to. And then many of them have the difficulty in functioning socially within the program because they don't have that support at home.
Okay.
Alrighty. So Shantina, did you have any general questions? And Rosemary, I'll come back to you.
Yes, I just want to circle back just a little bit more when we talk about collaboration. Not necessarily specific to FSU, but in general, I noticed some of your collaborative relationships that were listed, and many of them do seem pretty close to the vest, but can you express to us maybe some of the most productive or effective partnerships that exist? What you listed appeared to be it was somewhat vague, but if you could just provide a little more detail on the effectiveness of your existing partnerships. Just a little bit.
A lot of our partnerships have come through, obviously, through the schools. We go into the schools. Some of our staff are considered mentor coordinators for Leon County schools as well as Gaston County schools. So we have that partnership where our college success coaches are able to go into the schools, as well as our mentors are able to go into schools, pull students out. So we work with the schools pretty well. We work with people and members of the community, obviously, for mentors, as well as those who come in and volunteer or speak with our students at our Saturday academies where we do. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
You're fine. I was just letting you know you have 5 minutes.
Where we do the college and career workshops. So a lot of it is kind of community members. We have tried to work with Zachary Richardson for some of our students who are not doing well on, say, the SAT or ACT exams. So we've had those communications and trying to get some of the students to actually commit to going there to get the help. So a lot of what we do obviously is at TCC, because we could bring in people to talk about financial aid and about advising and different things like that at TCC.
Okay. So I have one last question, and we have about 4 minutes. Previously, we had mentioned some concerns regarding attendance, and we know that the pandemic situation has, introduced a whole new normal. But just prior to that, what are some active measures that you all have been engaging in, just in general to get attendance? Because even virtually, you mentioned that there may be some challenges there. So are there any new measures that you've implemented that you can share briefly?
Well, last year, one of the big thing is really enforcing that it was mandatory. That students showed up. And so we had more students showing up last year than we did in many of the other years. And so, that's been a big thing. I know one of the questions last year or comments last year was potentially providing transportation. Because we have students in so many different schools, that for us will be a little bit difficult in getting a bus that goes to all of the different schools and pick them up. We're working with both Leon, Gadsden, and McCullough counties. So that's been, that would be a little bit difficult trying to provide transportation for all of them to come. But I think the biggest thing for us was really enforcing that it was mandatory for students to come to at least 5 workshops for the year.
Okay, thank you so much. And then, Rosemary, were there any items we needed to look at on the outcome measures doc?
No, actually, I've reviewed it and it looks good. So.
Okay. All right. Are there any final questions from the team?
I think I might have one.
Okay.
Can you describe the state of Florida's funding and their roles in making policies for the program?
Okay, so Take Stock is all over the state of Florida. They go to the legislature to secure funding for the whole program. The funding comes through each program based on the number of students. Take Stock has a set rule for mentoring for work college readiness workshops that we provide with some leeway. And then the scholarships, they decide on the fact that each student that comes into the program has to have a scholarship as soon as they're enrolled. So the rules come through. We do a balanced scorecard every year that lets us know how we're going along based on the requirements that Take Stock as a state has given us.
So state level, they make the parameters on what kids qualify for the scholarships.
Yes. Yes. So income-wise, when we do applications, they're reviewing. We have a STAR database that's all over for the state of Florida, where we're entering grades. They're running reports every month to make sure that we are doing what it is that we say we're supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, team. Thank you, Ms. Thomas, Ms. Shaw, and Ms. Bradbury for all you do in our community. And we appreciate you taking time out this morning to be with us. Enjoy the rest of your day. And
thank you very much.
Thank you, Margot.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith with Career Source Capital Region Senior Director. I've been a part of the CHSP process for 18 years now, and so I am happy to be the team lead for this awesome team. And I will ask the team to introduce themselves, and then we'll give you more information.
Hello, I'm Betty Rivers. I'm retired, and I've been a member of the team for 3 years.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Wells. I am the program director of the Sickle Cell Foundation. I believe this is my second year doing the CHSP process.
Good morning. I'm Rosemary Farrell, community advocate. I don't know, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, a number of years.
No.
Good morning. I'm Sean Allen with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I have been with CHSP for 6 years. I will also be serving as your timekeeper this morning. Just to give you an overview, you will have 20 minutes for the Q&A. We will start with each of your staff members or whoever you have on the call introducing themselves and their role only. So after those introductions, I will start the timer for 20 minutes. I will give you indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute because we want to make sure we have sufficient time to get our questions answered. Is that okay? So as a general reminder again, mute your phones when you are not speaking, please. Thank you so much. And we can go ahead and start with our introductions.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Moore. I'm the Executive Director here at Ability First. And it looks like we have Chris Carlberg on the call. He's our High School High Tech Program Coordinator for Leon County. Just as a brief statement, the irony of my technology not working is not lost on me for a high school high tech program.
That's okay. Let's go ahead and make sure we move with our introductions. We want to make sure all your staff is recognized as well. Thank you.
That's fine.
Yes, hi, I'm Chris Carlberg. I'm the High School High Tech Coordinator.
Good morning, I'm Patty Horowitz. I'm the Program Supervisor.
Great. Is there anyone else?
Shelley?
Hello, Shelley. And your role?
Shelley's our office manager. I don't know that she's going to need to be on the call now.
Okay, thank you. Is that everyone?
That's everybody.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and start your timer with 20 minutes.
All righty. Thank you so much, Dan and team, for joining us today. I will go ahead and get started with the first question, and then I'll turn it over to the team for other questions. So the first question is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your agency's ability to deliver the program services, the mission? How has it impacted your budget? We just want to know how you've pivoted. Just tell us all about it.
Sure. So the pandemic has impacted us significantly in some programs and much less so in others. Most of our agency services is providing basic needs services to very low income persons with disabilities. So we've considered what we do essential. We've closed our doors to walk-ins, but we've had staff in the office every day since this began. We are delivering housing and outreach and healthcare related services almost as if this has not occurred, although we've been taking precautions both in our office visits and out in the community. We built a COVID cubicle inside of our conference room within a few weeks of us realizing what was happening. That was Shelley's project. So we built an interior room with tables and chairs so that people could be separated by plexiglass, but still see each other. We have an accessible entrance that allows folks to come in and sit down in an air-conditioned space and receive services in that way so that we're not having to do everything remotely or out in the parking lot. So as far as high school high tech goes, Chris can talk a little bit more about that. COVID hit during spring break, and it's been very different since then.
Yeah, Chris, love to hear about it.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Thanks, Kiki. So we, as soon as spring break hit and we went into quarantine, we immediately transitioned to online Zoom calls and phone conversations. We, as Dan said, that we do provide services for low socioeconomic persons with disabilities. A few of our students didn't have access to computers, so I switched to phone calls for them and did our lessons just as we would do it face to face, but I would do it individually with each of them on the phone or on the Zoom call. We also took use of that COVID cubicle if there were students that needed to fill out paperwork for me or students that just really needed some social interaction. That's really valuable. We had social interaction by using the COVID cubicle, and lessons happened there as well.
So Kara, in terms of funding, we have been mostly impacted by a decrease in cash donations. Our core funding has remained intact for all of our agency's programs. We had a fundraiser scheduled for the first week of April that we had to cancel. It was going to be a 40th anniversary barbecue, although we did raise some funds and we'll be picking that back up in the fall.
Okay, thank you so much. So now I'll turn it over to other team members for questions, some of which may have been sent to you ahead of time. Ms. Betty, we'll start with you.
Yes. With the impact of COVID, your client participation, is that still stable?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Your client participation.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, is that still stable?
I still didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Two people were talking.
I heard that.
Okay.
She asked if our client participation was still stable. I can speak to that. Yes, we still have had consistent client participation. Our students have been active. Currently, they're working on their career experiences, so I'm in communication with them pretty much every day. There are some students that were less involved to begin with, so we haven't had much contact with them. But for the most part, the majority of our students are still very much involved.
Okay. I have another question. When you work with, when you go to schools and you're working with ESE teachers, how do they select the students? Is it voluntary? Do they counsel the students about participating in the program? How is that done?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So how we do that is we have a recruiting period during the first couple weeks of school. I go into all the ESE classes and learning strategies classes at the high schools, and I do an interest meeting, and then I have a kickoff party. The students that are eligible are students with IEPs that are in a ESE or learning strategies class, and it is voluntary. The students decide whether or not they want to join. I do have educator support, so that the teachers know the program and encourage their students to take part in it, and I've seen a lot of success from that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Any other questions, Betty?
Not right now.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Can you describe the efforts to diversify your board and what progress has been made in that realm?
Sure. We've had some success and a little bit of a step back this year. We lost one member who had been on our board for a couple of years. He had to step off due to health issues. We added an additional person of color this past fall. I've been doing recruitment in anticipation of my leaving in the fall. And we have a couple of interviews scheduled within the next month of persons with color and of some different county representation as well. So we're currently at 2 persons that are non-white out of our 8 board members right now. So our goal is to increase both the diversity with culture and race, as well as one of our requirements is we have to maintain 51% of our board members be persons with significant disabilities, or we have compliance problems with the federal government if we don't maintain that. So there are times when I don't take on a board member because they're not a person with a disability. So I have to maintain that. But as those ratios work out over time, I'm able to add people with different contributions to the agency.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any additional questions, Chris?
Nope, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Rosemary.
No questions. I just wanted to say good job on your outcomes and your framework. It's really well done. The whole application was well done. So good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Shantina?
Yes, to echo Rosemary's response, excellent. I hate that I don't see your face this morning. But I did want to ask regarding the teacher and the collaboration. You mentioned that you've been using the teachers as a resource for referrals. Have you been able to obtain any feedback in that regard from the teachers specifically, or even your parents? Just curious in terms of how you're able to
you, Chris.
feedback.
Yeah, that's a great question. The teachers that I've been involved with, they definitely have seen an improvement in their students, whether it's just an improvement in grades and perseverance, or it's an improvement of like aspiration. I have a couple students that had no idea what they wanted to do and didn't take school seriously, and are now taking school seriously because they have some idea of what's going to come after high school. Really tried to push the life after high school stuff so then they can think beyond what that is. And then with parents, that's echoed with the parents as well. I have some really good parent participation, and I get a lot of emails saying that this program has been very good for their student. I have not gotten any negative comment. I always ask for feedback from the parents and from the teachers, and it's all been very positive.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Again,
Don Stevens, do you have additional questions for the agency?
Let's see here. No, I do not.
Okay.
I was going to ask you.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Betty. I'll ask mine after.
Okay. With this season and with your interaction with the students now, are they okay? I know this is a big change for them, as it is with all of us. They feel good, still moving forward with energy and encouragement, and are they okay?
Oh yeah, the students are doing great. They always look forward to our Zoom calls, and if they aren't able to have a Zoom call, they get really excited when they see me call, and they just ask, what's next? And I get a lot of texts and calls on Monday morning saying, hey, is High School High Tech doing anything this week? So yeah, the students are doing okay. Some of them struggled with online school, but I helped them with their time management skills and getting their education to be a priority, even though they're home and they have all these other things that they could be doing. And then especially now during the summer, we're doing the career experiences, and I'm in contact with the kids every day, checking in on how they're doing on getting their volunteer hours. So they're really excited about that. And obviously with our stipend program, where we provide pay for their internship, they're really excited about that. Some of them, this is their first opportunity to get reimbursed for effort and for work. So they're really excited about it.
Hey, Betty, can I follow up that question with, that $5,000 extra we asked for? We'd sure like to be able to help the kids shore up their technology, access to Wi-Fi, and for the ones that are struggling still connecting to their school and our program because of technological challenges due to socioeconomic status. They'd be doing a lot better if we could help them with that.
Okay. Thanks, Dan and Chris. So to follow up, I know we probably have about 5 minutes remaining. I did want to ask, 7. I did want to ask a question in just reviewing your budget worksheets. There's a line item that had some items in the revenue and expenses columns that had miscellaneous other income, and I was just curious what that miscellaneous category
Sure.
was, both in the revenue and expenses.
Are you talking about the proposed fiscal year or the current?
So, yeah, well, you have it listed on all of the budget worksheets. So
Okay.
you can talk about the proposed, it's fine.
Okay, all right, hold on. Let me go back and get that.
Yeah, for the proposed, it's about 6,000 in miscellaneous revenue, and then expenses is about 800. So
Yeah, hold on. Let me
curious.
see if it takes me to that. So we have about we have some funds that we keep in reserve that the board raised a number of years ago that we are able to earn interest on. So that's where our miscellaneous income comes from. We've paid for our building, so we have no rental costs other than storage. So we're able to use our net income producing funding sources, not CHSP, but we do have a few that are performance-based, and we're able to earn net income, which then we put in our reserves, which allows us to earn interest on it. So it's about $5,000 or $6,000 a year that we project for next year for that. Our miscellaneous expenses are things like payroll processing fees, things that don't fit into one of your other categories. I can go there. Hold on just a second.
No, you're fine. That's helpful. I figured it might not have fit into one of the categories, but you've answered my question, so I'm good, Dan. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, guys, we've got just under 5 minutes. Are there any final questions that you have for the agency? Okay, I see none. So if that is it, I'd like to thank Dan, Chris, Patty, and Shelley for your time this morning. And thank you so much for all you do for this community, especially in this time that we are in. And thanks for your time, and we appreciate it. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan, and your
Have a good
team.
day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Patty Horowitz
has left the meeting.
Okay, let's see what I
All righty.
rolling right along pretty well. 10:30 is a pivotal point. So you actually have you almost have about an 8-minute break now. It's fast and quick. What do you think about this method, Sean and Cara? This is compared to what do you think about this? This is a quick whirlwind.
I can adjust to any situation. So obviously this is the way that we have to do it now. Though, me personally, I like to interact with the people, but I get it, and it works because, we would have read the applications, and we could still ask questions because a lot of times they end up repeating the stuff that's in the application anyways. It's just the testimonials. I kind of miss those.
Yeah, I miss the testimonials. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I saw a couple very powerful ones, though, but I was like, I missed, it reminded me how much I missed that aspect. I'm like, I'm going to miss that. So.
Right, right. Well, hopefully, as soon as we can return back to normal, we every single CRT has said they want to go back to the old way. They like the method they were using. There has not been a single team that says, I want to be clear to you, Pat, that we're doing this because we have to, but we're not interested in this being the new format for CHSP. So therefore,
nice to go out and see the facility, see what they're doing. Like with this last one, I would have loved to have seen the space that they created, the COVID cubicle or whatever. That they anticipated that need. I was like, I was like visualizing it when you were talking about it, and I was like, I would have loved to see that though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you guys remember when you tried to keep baby in the conference room and didn't work so well? When y'all tried to keep us in you all were like, we're not going to these agencies. We're like, what? I know.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, there was some folks. Yeah, there was some anti. We don't need to do site visits, and so
we need site visits.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, I need air.
Yeah. It makes the day go by just like, real fast too.
Yeah. And I think it's calming too. And I'm going to speak on our behalf when Delta Kappa Omega, when put on my other hat, when we entertain the team and they come out and visit our facility. And for some, it's a new world because in many cases they have never been to that area before. And so they see us right there in the heart of the community doing our work. And so that's very rewarding for us, and I believe it's rewarding for the team members based on the comments that we have received too. So hopefully we'll get back.
Considering that, Betty, it's going to be very important for you guys to make them understand the demographics of the community that you're working in, so that they understand that you're in a community. And this is what happened where you have gang violence or sex trafficking or whatever risk factor, so that they can get a feeling of where you're located and the fact that these kids can walk there or whatever. So you have to kind of make it alive in your, in that presentation.
That's why I always include a chart from the police department. So you
right.
See activities.
That's very real.
That's one of my attachments. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's excellent. Excellent. You might want to remind them though of a couple major points in that attachment, kind of put it fresh on people's minds.
Yes. And then also we also share pictures too from our
that's true. Y'all had a lot. Yeah, you guys had that.
We love them to see what we expose to children, academically, socially, culturally. And one of my favorites, of course, is the Valentine dinner dance. When the kids dress up and all, and so those are really highlights for us. That's why we like for the team to come on site to show pictures and all. So, but anyway,
Miss Betty, when you just mentioned the Valentine, it reminded me of my son. I actually posted this picture the other day. He's 26 now, but I found a picture of him at about 4 years old. And it was for a red and white ball. He had on a white tux, a little red. Oh, he's so cute. I'm sure he is rolling his eyes from St. Pete because I posted it on Facebook, and people are still looking at it like, oh, he's so cute. I'm like, yes, he's so cute.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because what I've been doing since I've been organizing my time and cleaning, and what I've done since I have so much of my kids' stuff still around, they're grown around the house. I bought some Foot Lockers. I'm putting the stuff in Foot Lockers, and from time to time as I go through the stuff, I find pictures and what have you, and I send them flashbacks. So that
me too. I know he is rolling his eyes, but I'm like, look at you. You are so cute here. You are in love with Aladdin.
So it's always neat. That's a neat thing to go back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the only one, so he gets all the embarrassment. He's given up on trying to regulate his mama.
But Shantina, didn't he come pick you up one day and you introduced him to me? Because it seemed like I've met him. I met him at your site visit, or unless it was someone, another person. It might not have been you. It might have been his other.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might have been another person. Because the last couple of years he's been in St. Pete. He's teaching in St. Pete. But prior to that, he was here in town, in college and everything. So
okay.
Successfully adulting.
How does he like St. Pete? Because I live. That's where I was raised. I was raised in that area, and my family lives in. My family is in St. Pete, so I go there. Oh, I was just in St. Pete in January.
Oh, yeah. I saw him last in January, but he likes it. He's settling into a good groove there. He can go to Tampa and be entertained and come back. The whole Tampa Bay area, St. Pete. He likes it.
Yeah, that's a good place for young people, probably, I guess.
I made him I made him research before he went. I was like,
Okay,
yeah,
good,
make sure you're
good.
ready.
Housing has gotten very expensive in St. Pete, though.
Yeah, that's why.
But downtown is just magnificently fun. Every kind of food you want to eat.
I noticed that the last 2 times that I went there.
I love to go there and go downtown and just hit the restaurants. That's what we do.
Yeah, they have all the bicycling and everything down there now. It's just
the arts, the
nice arts and little
and that
and
museums. I mean, oh my God, the
and
museum.
he's a music teacher. He's a music teacher and he's into performance, so it's perfect.
We're about to get ready for our guests in a minute. Okay.
We've got 3 minutes.
The only thing I want to say, if you do run out of questions, which it doesn't look like your group will during the 20 minutes, but you can ask the agency if they would like to share. We have some extra minutes left over. Is there something you want to share with us that you feel is important that you have not had an opportunity to to state? And when I say
I'll do that
important,
if we have more than
yeah,
I'll do that if we have more than 2 minutes. Because some of them get on the road.
Yeah. But you guys have been on a roll and not had dead time, like some groups have had dead time. Okay. We'll let Virginia, Madam Chairperson, are you ready for them to open the door and let the guests come in?
Let me finish chewing my apple.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're ready. We're ready.
All right. Pivotal point, right?
All right. Hey. Good morning. Good morning. I know we've got about another minute or so. Good morning, Mr. Richardson. I see we have Mark Scott and Zachary Richardson. Are you expecting any others from your agency to sign on as well?
Yes. Is Selena there? No, I don't see Selena yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we still have another minute, so we can go ahead and give her some time, and then we'll get started.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you okay. You sound a little far away from your device, but I think we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if that's better, if I should use the phone. That's what I was wondering.
I think you're okay.
Okay.
I'm just giving it another 30 seconds, and then we'll get started. Virginia, will you be able to let anyone else in here?
Yes. Somebody just came in.
Okay.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Mark is on.
Somebody just signed in as character center. Okay.
There we go.
And let me flip the screen for y'all.
All right. It looks like we've got everyone online, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith, and I would like to welcome you to this year's Citizens Review team for the CHSP process. I have the pleasure of serving as the team lead for this amazing team, and I'm with CareerSource Capital Region. That's my day job, and I've been participating in the CHSP process on both sides as an agency that has presented and now on the review team for about 18 years, and I will let the rest of my team introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Betty Rivers. I'm retired, and I've been a member of the CRT for 3 years.
Good morning. My name is Chris Wells, Program Director of the Sickle Cell Foundation. I believe this is my second year doing the CHSP process.
Rosemary Farrell, Community Advocate.
Good morning, Sean Allen with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I will also be serving as your timekeeper this morning. You will have 20 minutes, we will have 20 minutes for this morning's session, and the layout will be as follows. You'll have an opportunity for each staff member to introduce their name and their role in your organization, and then we will start our Q&A. I will give you indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. So again, we have 20 minutes this morning to do our round of questioning. That time will start after the staff introductions. And as a general reminder, I'm going to ask everyone to put your phones on mute if you are not speaking. I will give the indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. Okay?
Did we lose Selena?
No, sir, she's on.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start with your introductions, and then we'll move over to our team leader. Thank you.
All right, Zachary, if you want to get us kicked off.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're on.
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm Zachary Richardson. I'm with the Character Center, and I don't see myself being able to speak right now. I don't know what's happening, but I'm here. Can you guys see me?
No picture.
We can hear you just fine. We just can't see you, but that's okay. We can hear you.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm Zachary Richardson. I'm the director of the Character Center, Pivotal Point Enterprises.
Selena Richardson, program manager for Pivotal Point Enterprises.
And I'm Mark.
Mark.
I'm chairman of the board.
And we also have Jan on. I have two other members that are on Zoom with us, so they're listening. I have Jan Tucker Petway, who is our vice president, and I have Ms. Tashina LaFleur, who is our treasurer. So they're on my phone doing Zoom, looking at you all, so they can listen on the call.
Modern technology.
Okay. Thank you so much. We do. It seems like y'all have some stickiness on your end, so we'll try to ensure that we repeat as needed. So I'll go ahead and kick us off with the first question.
Hey, Cara, can I just?
I'm
sorry.
Go ahead.
Cara, just want to remind people, please mute yourself when you're not speaking, so we can take away that the background sounds. Thank you, and thank you, Mark, for doing that.
Okay, very good. So I'll go ahead and get started with the first question, and then I will ask the rest of the team to ask their questions. Some of the questions may have already been sent to you in advance. So the first question that I have for the agency is, how has the COVID pandemic, how has that impacted your ability to deliver your program services? And how has it impacted any budget, how has it created any type of budget restraints? We just want to hear how y'all are doing and how you're still able to deliver your services.
Okay, I'm Zach Richardson. I'll take that question. At the onset of COVID-19, we began to address how can we implement our program through technology. So as a partnership that we currently have with Rickards High School, we were able to create a system that allow our kids to continuously receive services by inserting them into a program. Our program of choice is Zoom. And so we started to implement the program through our Avid initiative. Being that we already had communication with our students by way of email, we just expanded our services by providing a certain time frame and a syllabus that would allow them to tune in to receive their services continuously.
Okay, and I'll also chime in for our middle school students. What we're doing now, as part of our summer program every year, we have a 4-hour program where the middle school students actually come to us face-to-face. But because of COVID-19, we've implemented a virtual learning classroom. So our middle school students right now are receiving services via the virtual learning classroom. It's
we're piloting it, so we're trying to tease out how the different students are level-wise, but that's something that we're also looking at. We're talking to the administrators at the current schools to make sure we can continue that program, still have access to the student records, still make sure we can get the outcomes to evaluate them, to do a blended learning system where we'll have some students that will be face-to-face actually receiving services, and then we'll also have some students that will be virtual online in the classroom. So right now we're talking to those current schools, and we're hoping that if we're awarded the additional funding, we can go into Griffin and go into Godby and expand it, because right now we're being successful with being able to continue to have them in the virtual learning system, which is really important on our behalf, because what we're noticing is that a lot of these students have lost a lot because they weren't in school the fourth quarter. So we're, in effect, right now, reteaching them the fourth quarter of last year. So that's what we're facing right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I address the budget too really quick? What we're considering is, because the online platform allows more than just the Title I students to participate, if we're successful, then what we're going to possibly consider doing is open it up and have a small fee, which may help with offsetting some of our just general grant revenue, and open it up to all students in Leon County, because that's something that we also were considering before COVID-19. Is possibly having a program where it's not just the Title I students, but we're also reaching other students who we know are in need and charge them a small fee for services, but our Title I students will still be free.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. So now I'm going to go to the team for additional questions. Betty, we'll start with you.
Yes, your enrollment, how's your enrollment? How was your enrollment during the pandemic and the rate you're attempting to reach students, continuous services?
Right now, in the past, we've had about 10 students enrolling during the summer. Right now, we have 6. Mm-hmm. So one of the issues is access to technology, which we know. And the other issue is how much extra time is taking the teacher to be able to deliver the services. Because the teachers, being tied to the schools, are held to higher rigorous evaluation requirements. So we're having to try to phase in what we want to make sure is done, but also work within the parameters of the school right now. So our enrollment, hopefully by July, will go back up to 10, because middle school is a little bit harder to teach than elementary because they need a lot more information. And the students right now are so far behind that it's taking the teacher pretty much almost an hour per student to deliver the same services that it would if we were in a classroom setting with a group. So we're trying to phase in enrollment slowly, but we're hoping to get back up to that 10 by July.
Okay. Is it
and can you guys hear me?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask, is it because of the attention span and with the distractions during the pandemic?
Part of it is technology, not having access. The other part, their internet is running slow. The other part is, like I said, they have just kind of lost everything last quarter. So we're in effect pretty much reteaching them, and it's taking longer to reteach them when you're doing it virtually versus when you're in the classroom doing one-on-one. So instead of us having those 10 or 15 students, we're spending so much more time on those 6 that we have right now that we're trying to figure out, should we add another teacher to try to phase in those other 6 students we have, or how is it going to look? So we have those 2 issues going on.
Okay, so this is June, July, and June and July.
July, and it'll be the first week in August because the kids start on potentially August 10th.
So it's all summer mostly. Okay.
Now with the ACT prep, and I think Mr. Richardson was about to speak to that. If you can speak to the enrollment with ACT, Zach.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Oh. In reference to our kids who are receiving additional help with ACT and SAT test prep, at the conclusion of the school year with COVID, with all the changes for graduation, we rolled out a new book, which was entitled Make College Work for You 2, the Remix. So throughout the summertime, we will be implementing the different chapters to keep our kids motivated, and also doing assessments to make sure that when they walk back into the classroom, if they choose that route, that they'll be prepared. So we were a little bit proactive, pretty much very proactive, through the Avid program to make sure that they had books in tow. And then for those individuals who did not have books at hand, we were able to send them a PDF copy of the book so that they can follow along with the different chapters. We are currently in the process of creating videos where we will have a link where students who have missed their sessions can go in and receive services. By doing so, we can ensure that our kids will again walk back into school prepared. As Ms. Richardson has stated before, one of the most difficult parts is making sure that our kids have accessibility to the internet services and as well as the software. So we're hoping to be able to provide many of our clients with cards through Verizon that will allow them to use their cell phone as hotspots so that they will stay up to date and continuously participate throughout the entire summer. As we all know, this COVID took us all by surprise, but we're just so blessed to say that we had already begun some of our online practices, and so now we're just working through the kinks to make sure that our clients receive their services. To answer the question, there's probably about 67 kids who are continuously going through the book reading for the summertime. We did start off with 101 participants, but now we're down to 67, and that's because of internet services.
Okay. Thank you all so much. Chris?
Yeah, so in looking at the award letter from last year, it seems that there was a concern for the agency's reliance on the executive director. And can you speak to the development of a succession plan or an added change plan?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely, I can hear you. In regards to the succession plan, I have fallen back a lot. And when I say falling back, I have several people that are probably trained to carry out the services. We have begun to do teaching with our providers to make sure that the teachers within the classroom can take the agenda and run with it as well. The other side is what we just mentioned is about creating videos. So if I'm unable to present, then those videos could be utilized within the classroom, and they will know how to carry out that component piece.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So one of the other things, they have done a great job. We have discussed this in our board meetings, and they've done a great job of training people on the skills that they need to do it. I'm not sure that they necessarily have the reps that anybody on the team has near the executive leadership that they do, but we're also very lean, and part of this is we, sort of every dollar that we get goes to the kids, pretty much helping the kids. So we aren't at a position where we can talk about it and, write about it and so on. We're not about to add another body the way we run a very lean. So just to be candid, dollar-wise, we're not at a point where we feel like that's a good way to invest our money right now. So it's going to be a problem for a while. It's just a risk, in my opinion, but it's a good risk to have rather than adding, there's just no fat in this organization, and we will address it in time, and we are trying to we're doing fundraisers and so on to have a little better budget, but as you know, with a skinny budget, I think they're doing an awesome job and with the resources, and hopefully you guys understand that.
Okay, thank you. We're going to have to move on to the next question. Chris?
So, can you discuss the efforts to develop a strategic resource plan for fundraising? Sir, have you addressed that at all?
We begun to look at the resource plan for raising funds, and one of our most beautiful part was creating this latest publication, which is called Make College Work for You Too for our older clientele. What that will do is for each one of the books, we are paying somewhere around $2.20, and the books is being costed at $20 per book. So that is a great return on our investment. We are in the process of working directly with the school principals so that they can give us additional support by making sure that their kids on the campuses have books in hand, and that will tremendously increase our fundraising efforts. We are also looking at Friends of the Character Center, which is a new initiative to get people from around the community to see our efforts And so by creating a newsletter and letting them also help sponsor or better yet adopt a particular kid. So for an example, if we have about 6 or 7 needy families at Rickards, a concerned citizen within our community can take the time out and be able to say, I'm going to contribute funds to take care of this kid throughout the entire school year. And so we have begun those efforts to help. Currently, we have about 3 individuals who have taken us up under their wings to do that, and we're looking forward to doing a more aggressive rollout as we continue to deal with some of our issues within our community, but also addressing safe policing. As we look at COVID, we look at unemployment. So we see that now this national effort to try to make sure that our children are in a better condition, we can lean on those individuals and their heartstrings to let them know that we have a diversification issue, but now is the right time to donate and contribute to make sure that our kids are doing better. And that's what we're doing as a team.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Zachary. Thank you, Chris. Rosemary?
Hi. So one, just to compliment y'all's outcome measurement framework and your application overall is really well done. And what you do with your budget and the success you have is really amazing. So thank you for what you're doing and great job on doing it. My question, I guess, is given everybody's uncertainty with the fall and the coming school year for Leon County Schools, which is a rolling target as how it will be reopened and all of that, what is y'all's plan for this upcoming year? I mean, we've talked a little bit about summer. Is it going to be all virtual or some virtual, some, you know, is it just, what have your talks with Leon County Schools been about how you will be allowed in the schools and how is that going to work? I know they're restricting access for various groups and that kind of thing. So if you could just kind of elaborate on how you're planning as well as you can for what's going to happen in the fall.
I'm going to start off, then I'll let Selena complete her part because she's mainly handling the middle school. I'm handling the high school. So preliminary, what we're doing right now is looking at the students who have not taken their EOCs. We're devising a plan to address those kids first through our virtual methodology. Then we're going to increase by having 50% of the time be face-to-face, and the other 50% of the time will be done through virtual. The 50% time is based upon a program called AVID. AVID is a very beautiful program in our schools. There is one particular gentleman, Mr. Hankerson at Rickards, who allows us accessibility to these students to work with them. And so one of the other measures, making sure that our clients are wearing face masks, having a part of our character system about safe distancing from one another, and also requiring that they understand the beauty of studying and spiral learning. And so it'll be a twofold process that we're rolling out now. We're playing with it. We're tweaking a little bit. We have a lot of work to do. However, we recognize that Leon County School is trying to take every measure to make sure their clients are safe. But in the same token, we recognize...
Just under 5 minutes. Just want you to know you're just under 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. We're recognizing that what's important to them is what we call FTEs. That is the full-time enrollment, which means that they generate revenue off FTEs. And so we're going to help them or assist them in making sure that we get the bottoms in the seats. And so we have a twofold process, one face-to-face, and the other part will be done through virtual. The face-to-face is done through the teachers that we've already trained in schools to carry out the process. Thank you very much.
As far as the connections that we have with the schools, they currently are aware of what we're doing because they're supporting us. They're allowing us access to the students now for the virtual. And the biggest thing that we want to make sure is that we still have access to the evaluation. So as long as we're able to continue to do the blended versus virtual and the students are registering with us, we will still have access to the evaluation tools to make sure we're able to still evaluate the outcomes that we've had in the past as well. But it will work the same with the middle school. We'll follow CDC guidelines with social distancing if they want to be in the school, but if the students choose to not come to school and do distance learning, then we'll have the virtual classroom set up for them.
Okay, thank you all so much. Shantina, Sean, did you have any questions?
Actually, yes. You alluded to it just then when you talked about access to the assessments after the fact. And I noted that previously you mentioned developing a deeper relationship with Leon County Schools. So something is already in place for you to be able to get that feedback and to be able to determine how your program is doing or impacting the participants, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, on both of those issues.
Okay, and then also, we're at 3 minutes. You mentioned a fee structure, the possibility of a fee structure to help with sustainability. And I mean, has that been fully fleshed out, or is that still a surface idea?
That's still a surface idea because that's something that the board talked about during our strategic planning fundraising. Because again, like we said, it shouldn't just be for Title I. We know those are the students most in need, but you have students in all these Leon County schools that need the help. But you do have some parents that have the capability to pay. So if we go to a virtual learning platform, because it's open to pretty much everyone, how will that fee structure look? Will we charge them $25 a week to access the services? But it's a beginning development plan that the board, we're going to have to come back to and say, okay, now we're looking at July, getting ready to start in August, and do a pilot to say we'll have 5 students that are maybe on a fee base. But all the other students would just be regular Title I, no fee.
And then the other side to the fee structure deals with, we have a budget where we incorporate paying for some of our kids' ACT and SAT test scores.
Right.
So the idea is for those students we'll shift that to the parents or a local community member to pay for the ACT test for them, which would eliminate us having to pay for it for all those kids, because we always overserve the amount that we actually put in our grant. So the fee that we're looking at is some of those things that include the paying for the ACT and SAT on behalf of our kids. Some of our kids are now utilizing fee waivers from their schools because they get up to 2. So that's been very helpful. But because of the deficiencies, we're seeing where our kids are needing to take the ACT, SAT over and over again just to raise their scores. We are able to pull their student records directly from ACT once they give us the passcodes, and we've been tracking the pre and post test. So if a student make an 18, we can go back and pull it offline and then see exactly where we need to tweak a little bit to increase that score so that that kid may potentially qualify for bright futures.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're just under 1 minute now, and so I do need to kind of stop you right there, but thank you for that response.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Zach, Selena, and Mark, thank you so much for your work in the community. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for making time to be with us this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Have a great
day.
Bye-bye. Nice to see you, Zach, Selena.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
See you as well.
We can't see Zach, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome to the 2020 cycle for the Citizens Review Team for CHSP. Welcome in. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith. I am with CareerSource Capital Region as a Senior Director. I have the wonderful job of serving as this awesome team lead, and I've been involved with the CHSP process for 18 years. And I will ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Betty Rivers, happily retired, and I've been on the team for 3 years.
Morning, my name is Chris Mills, Program Director with the Simple Self Foundation, and this is my 2nd year with the CHSP process.
Rosemary Farrell, Community Advocate.
And I'm Sean Allen with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I've been engaged with the CHSP process for about 6 years now, and I will also be serving as your timekeeper this morning. Our format will be as follows. We'll allow for the introduction and your role. If there's no one else on the call with you, then we will proceed to our Q&A, which will be 20 minutes long. I will give you an indicator at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. As your time decreases. We want to make sure we have adequate time. As a general reminder, I just want to let everyone know to please put your phones on mute when you are not speaking. Okay? And if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and turn it over for our introduction and to our team leader.
All right, so Paige, you want to go ahead and start just introducing yourself, and then I'll ask the first question.
Okay, sure. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Paige Lee. I am the Director of Education for the John Gilmore Riley Center and Museum. Currently served as the Director of Education there for 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Paige, for being with us this morning. I'll go ahead and start with the first question. How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your ability to deliver the program services and any impacts on budget?
Okay, so, well, the COVID-19, it was a very unfortunate situation. However, I think that it really helped us transition some things that maybe should have been transitioning anyways to be electronic or more accessible online. So, for example, like with our after-school program, which is usually in person, we had to make some adjustments so that the students could still receive a lot of that information because for some schools and for some students, we're the only source that they're getting a lot of this historical information from. So we didn't want them to lose out on receiving that information and that individualized attention. So we had to translate everything from being an in-person curriculum to being a digital curriculum. And so we created, we used some various platforms to create digital exhibitions and digital, like using a digital software so that they could still receive the information in a children-friendly way, and it still asks them questions about the information that they're learning. And we still worked with our after-school instructor throughout the entire process to keep that link with our schools that we connect with so that we could continue everything moving effortlessly. In addition to that, we also wanted to listen to our teachers. We listened to the after-school instructor that we work with because we know that that was also a tough time for the Leon County Schools Department as well. So for all of our teachers, they were having to adjust. And our after-school instructor is actually our after-school program instructor because I don't, you know, just for clarification, a part of the CHSP funded programs that Riley does is an after-school program at Riley Elementary School. And so with that, our after-school program instructor is a first-year teacher. So with this being her first year teaching, and then halfway through the school year, the coronavirus epidemic, she was faced with a lot of challenges with that. So first and foremost, we wanted to be there for her and provide any resources that could help her do her job at home and still connect with her students because that was really rough for her going through with that. And so we worked with the administration at Riley Elementary to provide them with additional supplies to help them within that process, and you wouldn't have been able to do that without CHSP. Now, in addition to the after-school program, another big component of our CHSP-funded programming is Blended Lives, which is when we bring all of the fourth graders in the county to our site, and they go from station to station to experience a lot of a historical demonstration. So we have like United States Colored Troops Living History presentation. We have someone who's doing folk songs to really take them back to that time, and then they're doing a tour of the museum. So we're talking, I mean, almost 2,000 students coming to our site. So of course, moving into this upcoming school year, thankfully for this past school year, we were able to complete both of those sessions, one in November and one in February. But now moving into this upcoming school year, we're thinking, we've been thinking about how we could still continue that program, and of course, not having all 2,000 students on site, but thinking about how we could still get that program out there to them. So we've decided that we could still do the different stations, of course, with no students on site, and record the demonstrations at each of those stations, and then compile it together into a Blended Lives exhibition to then distribute out to the schools. And we've been working with our Leon County Schools representative to help us get that out there to every school and to the principals of those schools.
Okay, thank you, Paige. So we're going to go ahead and move on with the questions from the rest of the team, some of which may have been submitted to you ahead of time. We'll go ahead and get started with Betty. Did you have any additional questions?
Yes, regarding your program. So you're at Riley now, and how many students are you working with at Riley?
Well, we work from, it ranges a little bit throughout the school year, but anywhere from between about 15 to 25 students.
15 to 25. And that's one teacher working with those students?
Yes, and then sometimes I will step in as well.
Okay. Do you have volunteers? Because I noticed in your application you do mention volunteers. Do volunteers assist you with that particular program?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, okay. And also in your application, I noticed that you indicated that you anticipate serving 8,000 unduplicated students. Is that calculated through all of the 5 components?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what are you doing now for the summer?
Okay, so for the summer, we usually typically do a summer camp during the summer. Of course, we're not doing right now. So we've done like I'm calling them like episodes, but we're essentially creating videos to send out to the because usually like we'll only target a group of students at Riley Elementary where we'll just work with our after school program students, which like I mentioned is like 15 to 25 students. But now for the summer, we've been pushing out that curriculum to all of the students in the school so that everyone has access to that information. And so we've been putting together episodes every 2 weeks. Our first one actually comes out this Friday on Juneteenth. And then from then on, every 2 weeks after that, up until the beginning of the school year, we'll be pushing out those, I call them the Riley Kids Club Classroom, which I actually create personally. And then they all have the same information that they would be learning. And then it offers activities for them to do at home to further their learning.
Okay, so how do you follow up the interaction?
That's directly through the school. So working with the school administration. And then being that this one is the first one this upcoming Friday, I've asked the school to provide me with a select list of a few of the students that they've targeted, a list so that we could get a representative sample of the effectiveness of those videos.
Oh, okay. So the students have the equipment, whatever they need in order to play the videos?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest challenges that we came into at the beginning of the summer. So, a big question, because most of the students who we serve are in underserved populations, and are low income, especially with it being Riley Elementary School. So we actually worked with another one of our grant sources to get laptops for those students. And then the school district actually placed school buses with Wi-Fi in those neighborhoods so that the students would be able to access that the online technology.
Okay, so here again, when you get feedback from the schools, so the school then will be able to give you, I guess, an update or some report on the effectiveness of this strategy that you're using with the videos.
Yes, ma'am. So now, of course, we can't get feedback from every single student. But I did ask them to give me a list of about 20 to 25 to see if we could get some feedback from them and kind of use that as a representative sample going forward to see the effectiveness.
Okay, so the way it works then is you do the videos and the school staff, assist you with monitoring, actually, I guess, the activity, and then provides you with the results every 2 weeks?
Yes, because the school, we send out the videos through the school directly.
Okay.
Hey, Betty, did you want to ask your question about the budget?
Yes, I think yes. Let me see. I think I had an issue, not an issue, but I think a concern, maybe with I think program outcome measurements I have listed here related to your budget. And I guess what I was going to suggest too, and I guess I had a suggestion too about technical assistance too in preparing your, the application, because I'm in your position too. I work with my foundation, and we submit grants also. But one of the things that we found helpful is that we get with Pat Holiday and staff to do technical assistance. And even though I'm a well-versed in writing grants, but they always provide us with great information and some insight, things that I hadn't thought about to enhance that process. Is that something you all have taken advantage of since it's always extended to our agencies?
Okay, so what I will say, the first grant that was written for the current grant cycle that we're in, I was not in this position. I came in the middle of that grant cycle. So a lot of the concerns that were listed the concerns that were listed then, I did ask the previous person in my position what feedback they got back from CHSP to fix those corrections. And I did not, I will say I attended all of the workshops that CHSP presented to do that. And then I worked directly with Tiffany Robinson, who was our CHSP representative, to correct those things that we needed to, as far as the framework, to fix those different issues or concerns that was listed before. And I did know that one of the primary concerns was a site visit, because I do remember the last time we were applying for this grant, they weren't able to see the site or anything. And that was something that I wanted to change. But of course now, unfortunately, we couldn't do that. But as far as the framework itself, I did get as much feedback as I could from the person who was in my position before me, so that I could make those adjustments.
Okay.
And I was so just as so Paige, with you saying that, there are some other questions related specifically to the grant as written. Will you be able to answer those questions?
I should be able to, yes.
Okay, so we'll move on. Chris, go ahead.
Well, my only question was, did they seek technical assistance with the grant, which Betty covered? That was basically what I had.
Okay, thank you so much. Rosemary?
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback, I guess, off of the technical assistance and looking at the outcome and measurement framework. So I guess let me follow up. Did you, Paige, actually write this grant for the one that we are viewing right now?
For the most part, I did use the previous written grant to go forward in this. This is my first time in this position, so I know CHSP is something that we've received continuously over several years. So I've used what we've done in the past and made changes as I saw necessary and how I wanted to change the program and to move forward.
Okay, and then the assistance you sought from Tiffany Robinson, was that for this grant that you just turned in?
It was periodically, so like with the reports as we're going forward, yes. But then I believe she left at the beginning of me beginning to write this grant. I used the feedback from the previous person in my position. I asked him if there was any feedback for the concerns specifically, and he gave me some feedback as far as the framework goes.
Okay. Well, so I guess one of the things I think I'm looking at is I'm not seeing, the specific outcome and the measures, the outcomes indicators that would say out of 100% of kids, 80% did this, that type of thing. So that might be something you would want to look at for the future going forward. I think that's one of the things that's been a concern in the past. I know Pat at the city is an expert on this, as is all of the CHSP staff. So maybe something to consider for moving forward, because I think one of the things is we're really trying to make sure that, when a program says they do X, Y, Z, well, how many kids or students or participants actually, did X, Y, Z out of the number that you started with. So thanks for the clarification and information. My only other question was, I noticed y'all said that you would have a big increase in the number of volunteer hours this coming year, and I was just curious what those volunteers are being used for and how that was working, because it's like a 3,000 hour increase over the previous few years.
Okay, sure. Well, we'll go back to your first responses. Thank you so much for that feedback. I do try to include those specific measurements in my reporting. So I will say, like, for Blended Lives, we had this number of students, or for our after school program, we enrolled this number of students, or try to say like a percentage of increase in their AR testing scores and things like that. So I do try to do that in the reporting. However, going forward, I can definitely make that more clear in the application process so that we can continuously measure that throughout. And then also the increase in volunteers, it is a lot of hours. However, which we will have to change a little bit with coronavirus. But
excuse me, I'm sorry, Ms. Lee. I just wanted you to know that we're just under 5 minutes.
Okay.
And there's a couple more questions.
Okay. So with the increase in volunteer hours, that stemmed from, for one, we do have a lot of requests for volunteers, and unfortunately, we're not always able to fulfill all of those requests. And so we have them send in applications, and we keep the applications on file until they're needed. And so with that, we want to utilize the community that's trying to support us. And so we've also received a lot of requests from several different schools in the county for demonstrations to come out and speak to their schools, because right now we focus a lot on elementary schools, but that leaves middle and high schools.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So does that answer your question?
So I'm sorry.
Does that answer your question, Rosemary? Because we do have
Yes.
a couple more.
Oh, okay. You guys go ahead. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay. Shantina, did you have any additional questions? I think she was having technical difficulties, so I'll go ahead and ask my question. So this is based on a couple of things in the application. I just wanted to find out if your board members have term limits.
I'm sorry.
Do your board members have term limits per your bylaws?
That question, I'm not 100% certain. To my understanding, I will say yes, because from the time that I've been at Wiley, we do switch the board members every so often. There's a few that have been there now for, I'll say the longest has been there now for, I would say, about 7 years. So I'm not sure exactly on term limits, but we do switch board members throughout the time. It has not been directors since our inception.
Okay, and then do you all have the numbers in your application? Your numbers were missing from your Wiley Rockathon event. Do you have the final numbers of how much you made from that fundraiser?
Yes.
If there are any other questions while she pulls that, you go ahead and ask, because we have less than a minute.
Oh yes, that one. Which I don't. Okay, I do know that it was 15,000 and some change. I don't remember the exact number, but I do know that it was around 15,000.
Okay, thank you so much. Paige, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you for your service to the community, and we want to tell you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all so much for having me. Definitely a unique experience, but thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you. Take care.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we have one on the phone.
Okay. All right. You have a lot of feedback, so we're going to try to work with that.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with the 2020 cycle of the Citizens Review Team CHSP process. Welcome in. My name is Cara Smith, and I am serving as the team lead for this wonderful team, and I've been a part of the CHSP process for 18 years now, and I work with CareerSource Capital Region as a senior director, and I'll ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Betty Rivers. I'm retired, and I've been on the CR team for 3 years.
Hello, Sickle Cell Foundation. This is my second year.
Rosemary Farrell, community advocate.
I'm Sean Allen. I'm with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association, and I've been a part of this process for 6 years, and I will also be serving as your timekeeper today. The outline will be as follows. We will have a 20-minute Q&A. What I'll do is I will allow each of you to introduce yourself and your role with the organization only, and then we will proceed to our team leader who will initiate the Q&A. I will give you indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute, okay? And so we want to make sure that we have an adequate opportunity to get our questions answered. All right? Thank you.
You guys can go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I failed to let you know that your time will start after your introductions, and we're going to have everyone keep their phones on mute if they're not speaking, okay? All right. Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead with your introduction.
All right. My name is Mark McMillan, and I am the CEO of the Divine Revelations DRMI organization. And
hello, I'm the co-CEO of DRMI.
I'm Felicia Thomas. I'm a board member.
And I'm sorry, did I say my name?
No.
Bernice McMillan, I'm sorry.
My name is Alberta Ruiz, and I'm a board member, treasurer.
Candace, if you can introduce yourself. Candace, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Candace Johnson, and I'm also a board member.
And that's it.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate it. It appears that I may have a feedback, but we'll try to work through that. So I will go ahead and start with the first question. If you could share with us how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted your ability to deliver services and any budget impacts it may have on your program.
Sure. Yes, quite a bit of impact. Our programs are face-to-face programs, so due to COVID, we have not been able to provide those programs. One of them, which is the program for the kids in the school, the Control the Fire program, is school-based. So we were definitely unable to provide that one. We have strategized about how to provide each of these two programs virtually. Our community donations, we feel have been impacted as well. Normally, we have businesses and individuals who donate to us, but of course, due to COVID, many people are focusing on emergencies and just really sustaining themselves. So we do anticipate that that's going to be an issue or area of opportunity for us. Especially normally we do pretty well in our fundraising efforts, but like even our event, our annual event that we do each year in Frenchtown at the Carter Howell Park, we are probably going to have to cancel because the city has informed us that at this time they are not allowing any programs to take place. So that is another major impactor for us as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I am going to turn it over now to the rest of our team to ask some questions. Betty, we'll start with you.
Okay. Do you have anything going on now? Are you engaged with the children, the students in any way now during the summer?
Just basically a checkup on them, especially the kids who are part of the Geeks and Grants program. And they're the children who are located here in Tallahassee. The other group, the Control the Fire program, we actually piloted that program last year at Shanks Middle School. So those particular youth we have not been in contact with.
And the only other thing that we have here in the community, I go around and I talk to some of the young kids, and we've gone to play basketball and things like that. But outside of that, you know, we're not doing anything else.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Chris?
So I guess my question, where are you all physically located, and where do you provide the services?
Well, our location is where our entity basically is how do I want to say this? Because our location is.
Our office location is at 659 Dunn Street.
Right.
However, we provide the programs on site. So all of our programs, whether it's adult programs or our youth programming, is either on site at the schools or at a community-based location. So with the Geeks and Grants program, we have facilitated that program over in on South Monroe Street, and I can't think of the exact address, I'm sorry. As well as the main library. We've held the workshop there as well. So we just basically, we go out to wherever it is that we're going to provide. And the seniors, we went to the senior centers themselves. We did pilot the Geeks and Grants program with the seniors over in Gadsden County because they specifically requested us. They asked for us to come. So we went to Quincy and we went to Chattahoochee. Within Tallahassee, we received a grant from the Awesome Foundation to sponsor the Geeks and Grants program. So we reached out to Tallahassee Senior Center. I was informed that they have a group that actually comes to them already. So what we did was we targeted, and what we're doing now is targeting small churches and the community centers. So we have great relationships with like Jake Gaither, and I can't think of the other. Jake Gaither, what was the other one? Walker Ford and McLean.
Yeah.
So we have relationships with those entities so that we can provide the service as well. But we've actually, due to COVID, have been looking how to do all of our programming virtually, which we actually do have the Control the Fire program that we do virtually now with the adults. So we're hoping to transition that for the youth as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Rosemary?
Okay. So I had a question, I guess. How long has Geeks and Grants and then Control the Fire been going on in where you've served Leon County residents?
We piloted both programs in 2019.
In Leon County, we piloted them in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. That was my question, just about, I was looking at the numbers, and it looked like pilot numbers, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something in how that was working. Okay, that's my only question right now. Thank you.
Okay, Shantina, did you have any questions?
You mentioned that you're working with, I believe, Control the Fire using a virtual platform. Which platform would that be, and how is that working? My first question.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we use the pre-conference call, but it's in reference to the Leon County court system. And what they do, anyone who goes to court and they get sentenced, and they're sentenced saying that they have to take, anger management through the probation office, they would contact one of us, basically my wife. They would contact her and say, hey, do you all have room for them? And what we do, we make room. We try to become accessible in every way. So by teaching it and doing it online, it allows us to either do it in the morning or in the evening. And so it's been very effective with a lot of the patriots.
Mm-hmm. So those people are court ordered to take the program. Mm-hmm. With the youth, we're going to use the Zoom platform because Zoom will allow us an opportunity to break out into their different sections, which is important because within that particular the workshop part of the Geeks and Grants, so the Geeks and Grants program is two components. The first component is a workshop that is just for the youth, where they learn about the different generations, they learn presentation skills, they literally give a presentation. But we break off into groups to have an activity, so we're able to do that on Zoom. And they're able to do their presentations. And then the other aspect is where they actually go and they present the information to the seniors or to the church or whoever the audience is at the time. And what we were thinking is we can also do bring in the seniors as a virtual platform also, because especially right now for the seniors, there's an area of opportunity with using technology. So it's a great way for us to incorporate Zoom and incorporate the seniors and their learning all along the same process.
We're attempting to kind of keep the two connected, the two generations connected, because it seems that there's a lot of overlap, but I just want to make sure I was clear on your program that it is to kind of connect the two generations for purposes of, okay.
It's very effective doing it that way, especially teaching it, the Geeks and Grants, because with the gap in the generations, that the youth, that allows them to be able to teach the seniors and update a lot of their understanding on the devices that's coming out.
Yep. So, for example, we had a 90-year-old man send his first picture message, and that actually was captured by a great article and coverage that was done by WCTV. So for him, it was just amazing. And for the young person that was assisting him, they were like, wow, they just were able to really see how the gap, what a huge gap that there was, but yet be able to identify with seniors and talk with them and communicate with them. So it's an awesome, awesome program.
Awesome.
It is.
Okay, I have another question, and then I'm going to give my teammates some opportunity, but I think this is important. Recognizing, in this COVID situation, a lot of organizations are having to regroup and think about how to move forward. And we noted that in, your prior attempts, your fundraising and your grant writing situation was very weak. And I'd be interested to know what measures are you taking during this downtime to really tackle that area?
And that's a great question. So we've looked at, our fundraising from the past, and like Felicia, you can talk a little bit about, one of the things that we've done, but we had projected last year for $2,000 as far as our fundraising goal, and we actually exceeded that by $773. So this year we projected like about $3,000. But so far, and that's just from a fundraising perspective, but so far we actually did receive the LEAP grant. We also received an additional $500 from a grant from the Nonprofits Insurance Alliance. We are actually in the final phases for the SBA emergency funding as well. We became members of INEE so that we can partner with them in helping us with some grant writing and researching. We also are members of the United Partnership for Human Services, who are going to help us with some more efficient resources, like to help save us some money on things that we're doing. And Felicia, if you could talk about Belk a little bit.
Yes, we joined Belk's charity sale event 2 years ago, in which we were given the opportunity to sell tickets to the charity sale. We've raised, between $200 and $400 in the last 2 events. This year, it would normally be happening right about now, but Belk is specifically holding the sale for first responders, and we will be given the opportunity to participate in the traditional sale in August. So it's another opportunity for us to raise funds.
And we've talked through as a board about considering the youth and maybe the seniors in some like fundraising efforts with us as well, doing some additional activities, you know. So, I mean, with our programs, we really literally take it to the dollar and cents. So everything we bring in literally goes to whatever program we are operating, you know, at that time. So.
Okay. You're on mute, Shantina.
Sure. Yep, there I go. Thank you. We're right at 7 minutes, but I want to thank you for answering my question.
All righty. So there were some questions around your budget and some miscellaneous revenue and expenses that were listed in your proposed budget. Are you able to speak more to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. So are you referring to our organizational budget? Or are you referring to specific to the program, the programmatic budget?
Your fiscal year budget.
Okay, so the fiscal year budget, so that was looking at our operational budget. So maybe, you know, I needed to clarify. So as far as the programmatic part of the budget, the miscellaneous would only be there really isn't any miscellaneous, I don't believe, related to the programmatic part. The operational part included things related to, for example, our partnership with Panera Bread, which is a huge, it's an intangible resource, so it's not actually physical money. So it's product that we donate out to the community. So we partner with them to distribute their end-of-day donation, but then we recognize it at the end as an expense. So because we have to account for it in our 990. So other than that, as far as miscellaneous, I can't think of anything that was like programmatic miscellaneous.
Okay. As programmatic is concerned, hold on, Sean, I see you. As far as programmatic is concerned, the amount that you're requesting for a professional, to pay a professional, it doesn't seem like a lot or enough. Is that average for what you're trying to do?
Are you talking, okay, so related to the facilitator, the flat rate facilitator rate, I believe, yes. We try to be very realistic with that part of it. We are really a volunteer organization, so we don't have paid staff. So because of that, we really try to at least be able to offer the facilitators some means of income for, you know, their transportation for doing the programs, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why it is what it is. We don't want to over exaggerate, and that's one thing that we learned actually from the first time we applied for CHSP funds. So we didn't want to up it, but, you know, we were just very realistic, and this is really what the cost factors are. And even within this, a lot of this, I put it at 50% because we were expecting to fundraise more additional funds to support the program.
Okay. Sean, did you have any questions?
My only parting question would be, of the number of resources you mentioned that you'll be working with, have those relationships already started? You mentioned the Institute for Nonprofit. You mentioned, you know, a couple of others that you'll be working with. Has that already started?
We've been members of, yes, we've been members of,
Let me clarify, not just membership. Have you actively started engaging in those processes that you mentioned?
Yes. So, United Partnership for Human Services, we are actively involved with IME. We just became members of them, but I have met already with the director there to talk about some of the things that they can assist us with. Jay Gaither, the community centers, we already have established relationships there because we've done other programs there.
Thank you.
Okay, Sean, how much time do we have?
We have 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay, go ahead, Rosemary.
So of the Control the Fire program you did with the 20 youth this past year, how many completed the entire program?
The Control the Fire was actually a classroom-based one, so.
Yes, Dr. Shanks. The way the system was set up is that as they go through the process of reaching a certain level in the program, we would graduate them. So out of the 20, because of course we were dealing with what they had deemed as troubled kids in some sense, and so out of the 20, we had at least 16 that completed the program. The others, they would start, and some of them got suspended, and even those that went through some troubles, I was able to talk to them and get them back in the program.
So they receive a certificate of completion.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any additional questions?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. In your award letter, it was clearly mentioned that I urge you rather to seek assistance from the CHSP staff. Now, I don't recall hearing you say mention that during your comments, and I'm going to certainly urge you all to do that because they're becoming more familiar with your program now, and so please contact staff. They're there to assist you, and I would encourage you all urgently to go on and get a meeting with the staff. They're very friendly and very helpful too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We are very, very familiar with them. We've gone to the city meetings with them. I've talked to them directly, especially in support of COVID issues and things like that. So yes, thank you very much for that. And we did follow that recommendation.
Okay. Thank you. That is our time for today. We'd like to thank you for all the work you're doing in the community, and thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon to answer our questions. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. Be
Bye-bye.
safe. Take care.
Wash your hands. And everybody said, wash your hands. All right.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, my ladies. Who's on next? You got like a minute or two if you need to get up for a second. We have Pace Center for Girls coming on next. I do want to inform you in the last two incidents, since you asked about whether or not the agency sought assistance from CHSP staff, that did not happen in either situation. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
We're almost there.
I mean, honestly, you guys are awesome. This is flowing quite well. Woo-hoo. I have to remember, sometimes I haven't muted myself, but I think Virginia has muted me, and so I think I'm still on unmute. And I start talking. Like, oh.
I know, because on, I can't see that sometimes I can't see that
You can't see that signal, that symbol.
And, sometimes it goes away, so I can see you guys on, unmuted, but I can't.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, the menu goes away. The menu only, pops up periodically. So if you move your mouse or hover, it may pop up, so you're not aware that you're actually on mute until you move the mouse.
See.
It's like, it's on red. That's why they're staring at me like that.
See, my symbols stay up on the screen, so I always know.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends. Everyone has a different screen too.
Different setup,
Yeah.
Different platform.
I find when I use my other monitor, which is a little bit larger. I think it tends to stay up. I think that's what's the difference on this one. But anyway, what do we have?
Supposed to join us this afternoon. Kelly, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Yes.
All righty. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2020 cycle of the Citizens Review Team for the CHSP process. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith, and I have the pleasure of serving as the team lead for this amazing team. And so we are going to ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves. But before I do so, I've been involved with the CHSP process about 18 years now, and my day job is at CareerSource Capital Region as Senior Director. So I'll ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Betty Rivers. I'm retired, and I've been with the CRT for 3 years.
Betty Rivers, you were involved a lot longer than that.
On this team.
I know, but it's this process and this money.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks.
I remember.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Wells, Program Director of the Sickle Cell Foundation, and I think this is my second year with the CHSP process.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Rosemary Farrell, Community Advocate.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Sean Allen. I work with Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I've been a part of this process about 6 years, and I will be serving as your timekeeper today. Our format will be this. Yeah, our format will be a 20-minute Q&A. What we will be doing is you will have an opportunity to introduce yourself and your role only, and you can do that for each of your staff members, after which time we'll defer to our team leader who will initiate the Q&A. The main thing I have to stress to you is that I will give you indicators at 5 minutes and at 1 minute. So as the time goes down, we want to make sure that we're able to get all of our questions in. We're going to ask everyone to put your phones on mute if you are not speaking, please. Okay? Did I forget anything? I think that is it. Your time will start after your introductions are done. Okay? And welcome.
Great. Thank you. So I'm Kelly Audi. I'm the Executive Director at Pace Center for Girls here in Leon County. And with me is
Geraldine Adigbaye. I'm the Intake and Transition Counselor for Leon County.
Hi, I'm Brianne Rucker. I am the Spirit of Girls teacher for Pace Leon County.
And then on the phone is?
This is Nyla Davis, and I am this year's board chair.
That's everything.
Thank you so much, Kelly and team. I'll go ahead and kick us off with the first question. So please share with us how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted your ability to effectively deliver services related to the program that you are requesting funding for, as well as any budgetary setbacks.
So it impacted us quite a bit. We're a school, so we have 70 girls attending the school. So for Bree, who is our Spirit of Girls teacher, she was teaching 6 classes a day with girls in her classroom. In the transition program, Darylyn was going out into the field to meet a lot of the girls in different places, different schools, different work sites, things like that. And a lot of those clients were coming in to see her, so all of that had to stop. So on March 18th, we took the entire school virtual. We're incredibly proud of the work that this team has done to do it. It's really kind of amazing, actually, that we are now setting the highest standard in the state among all the 21 PACE centers for the amount of personal interactions that our team are having with the girls. So we average, our average is 13 interactions with each girl a week. And so that means that our teachers are still teaching. So for Spirit of Girls, Bree is still teaching class to the girls, either individually or she's doing some kind of group sessions virtually. The counselors are using HIPAA compliant software. So Darylyn is still doing counseling, but she's doing it over HIPAA compliant software so that she can do it virtually with the girls. And we haven't missed a beat. We're staying right at our same numbers. We still have 70 girls enrolled in the program. We are looking at, I think, 6 or 7 right now that they're pretty sure are going to graduate in the middle of summer. So incredibly proud of this team. So it was challenging and hard, but they rose to the occasion and got it done. Budget constraints, we went, just like everybody else, we canceled our biggest special event, which was the celebration of women and girls. That last year we brought in about $40,000 from that event. What we've actually done is postponed it, but it's over our fiscal year, so it's the same thing as canceling it. What I did in response to that is I worked with team members and we launched a fundraising appeal. There were 2 things that happened that really impacted us financially. One was the loss of special event funding, but the other was in order for our girls to be effectively educated, they had to have computers. And the only computers we had were the computers that were here in the school that the girls were going to be needing when they came back, but we had to send them out into the field. So we actually sent out 40 laptops, and we had to buy prepaid cell phones, MiFi hotspots, whatever we had to do to make sure our girls were up virtually. So we did a fundraising appeal to try and replace those computers because we're pretty sure they're not going to come back in the same condition that they left us in. So we've been successful in raising funding for about 20 of them. So I'm really proud of that. And we did a general appeal to try and make up for the fundraising that we were losing in the special event. And it looks like we're coming pretty close. I think we're gonna have put out $20,000 that we wouldn't have spent, and we're not going to raise about $10,000 that we would have. So right now it has about a negative $30,000 impact on us. But the other thing about that, which I'm sure many of you know, that because PACE is a statewide network, we have a lot of resources that if we were a standalone center, we might not have. And one of the things that we have is a fiscal team that demands that we have 5 months of operating in reserve. So we hit our 5 months in operating reserves about a year ago, which means that we have 5 months sitting there waiting for us. So if we can't absorb the $30,000, we have reserves that we can go into in order to get us through this fiscal year and start over. So I'm really proud of the team. We've done a really good job here.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. We appreciate your response to that. I'm going to turn it over to other team members to ask questions. So we'll start with Betty.
Okay. With this been a dramatic change for everybody, I'm just want you to comment on the state of affairs with your students. How are they doing? Do you find yourself having to do more mentoring, counseling?
Let me let you talk to the 2 that are interacting daily with the girls. So what do y'all think?
I think it's been a lot on them. A lot of our girls come to school to have an outlet from their homes. So it is a lot on them. We do have a lot of girls kind of losing hope in the education because it's online, but we do our best to, encourage them and get them back on the right track. So it is a lot more day-to-day mentoring. Normally I would do it bi-weekly, but now I make sure I check on my girls once a week to keep them motivated, to keep them pumped up, and to keep giving them hope that we will come back to the school soon. So it is a lot on the kids, on the girls, especially those who have those households that they enjoy coming to school to get away from those households.
Yeah.
I would agree with Ms. Sarah Lynn. As a teacher, I would say being at home and working remote is a little bit more difficult for the girls. Because some girls come to my desk every 5 minutes asking for help, and so they may not be able to come to the computer to ask for help. Either because they don't have the Wi-Fi yet, or the MiFi yet, or they don't have a laptop that was given them. So it's a lot more difficult for them to reach out. But I will say the efforts that we have put in place in regards to we meet every Thursday. All the girls, we meet on a Zoom call, and we laugh, we talk, we ask how you're doing, we give them a platform to discuss things. I think that kind of keeps their morale up and kind of gets them through. But I think it's definitely important as a teacher that we stay communicated. And we stay in communication with the girls. So, some days are good, some days are, I'm tired, when we go back to school, but we try to, be positive and kind of, speak encouragement into them.
And they've had a rough time because of the deaths in the community and nationally and the race issues right now, it's impacting them in a really big way. They not only have individual trauma in their lives, but they have community trauma. One of the things that happened that about broke our heart was the video that was taken when Tony McDade was murdered in the housing complex. When he was killed in the housing complex, there was somebody that was videotaping the crowd and the aftermath, and two of our girls were in the middle of it, like and crying and screaming. And so what we did in response to that, this is just an example of how we stay with the girls. So what we did in response to that is the counselors immediately reached out to every girl that lived within like a 5-block radius of where the shooting happened and the stabbing, and so that they could see, touch base, ask them what was going on, try to figure out what the relationship was between the deceased people and the girls, help them process that tragedy. And then about 3 weeks later, I guess about a week ago, the team here organized a community meeting with the girls, and panelists, community leaders like Felicia Edwards and Christy Henry was on the call, and Dr. Judy Mandrell, and they allowed the girls to process the feelings that they have about racism, about the tragedies in their communities. And it's a way that we look at the whole girl. She's not just a student. She can't learn if people are dying in front of her house. So we're trying to help them be all they can be and get opportunities for all they need.
Great. Thank you for your response. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Chris?
So, in looking at the award letter from last year, there's a recommendation regarding racially diversifying the board. So, I guess, can you elaborate on those efforts? I know there's a state board, I guess for a state board and the advisory board.
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. I'm glad that you raised that issue. It's super important to us. So we hear about 80% of our girls are African American. It runs about 75 to 85. Our board is 85% Black. Our local board is run by a way predominant number of people of color, and I think I really should defer to Nyla and let her jump in on that. The Board of Trustees is trying to mirror the statewide demographics because they're responsible for the entire state. And so it's a little trickier. And when you look at the two in comparison, it looks startling, but right. You have to look at the universe. So they right now, they have a plan. They put it into place. Their Board of Trustees is actively working on increasing both Black representation and Hispanic representation on the board, which is underrepresented statewide. But I'm incredibly proud of the board here and the due diligence that they've done to make sure that our girls are being led by community members that understand their experiences. Nyla, is there anything about that you want to add?
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. The only thing I would add is for us, it's definitely important to have board representation that reflects the girls that we serve. And so we are very diligent, as Kelly mentioned, in being very selective about who we ask to join the board or who's interested in the board. And so that's one of the things that we take very serious and think it's important to the success of the girls.
Yeah, we just added, since we turned in the application, the board just added 3 new board members, actually, which makes the numbers even higher. But we just added Captain Bryce Google, who is a Black man that works for the Leon County Sheriff's Department, Renisha Gibbs, who is a vice president at FSU and a woman of color, and then also Verlonda Johnson, who is a local business, a sole proprietor business, and she and her husband own a construction company, also African American, and that was it. Those were the 3 members that they brought on. So we're all very, very committed to that.
Okay. Any other questions, Chris?
No, ma'am, that's going to be it for me.
Okay, thank you. Rosemary?
Okay. So one comment and then a question. One, what you've done to pivot to online instruction is incredible. As a former person working in foster care and then having been a foster mother to a teenage daughter, being able to do all of that is just absolutely incredible, and provide all the support in a meaningful way, is just, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to cry, but my hat's off to all of you guys for doing that. And having 2 teenagers of my own at home right now and knowing what they've gone through just in regular school. So, anyway, so that being said, my question or comment that I think you received ahead of time was just a question about support services in that line item in your budget. If you could just explain, what that is, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question. It's one of the things when we do presentations we spend a lot of time on, because it looks odd in comparison to some of the other applications. So that supportive services pays for our IT, accounting, payroll. We get access to lawyers, risk managers. It's 16% of our expenses is where that number comes from, roughly 16.5%. And it goes to our national office to support all of that back office support stuff. So we have none of that local. Our accountant lives in Jacksonville, all of that. And I usually, when I do the presentations, I do a calculation so you can see how much money we're saving by bundling those services in one location for the whole state. The other thing they do for us, which is pretty cool, is they go out and do bulk purchasing. So they buy 21 copy machines at once, or the contract. So our rates are much lower than most other nonprofits. And right now they just negotiated a contract for all the masks and cleaning supplies that we need when the girls come back to school in August. And we got a dirt cheap rate that we would never have been able to get by trying to do it locally. So it looks like a big number, but we get a lot for it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for your comment, too. I'm really glad they got to hear you say that.
Yeah, well, you're doing a lot, so thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rosemary. Sean?
Okay, and I'll just preface my comments saying that we're right at 6 minutes.
Okay.
Actually, most of my questions were answered, but I could not let this moment pass without saying I was blown away by how effective your service model and the academic gains. 92%, that I was just blown away. And like Rosemary, I was getting a little teary-eyed listening a little bit here, but just definitely wanted to take a moment to say that. And thank you for clarifying the cost savings, because that was one of my questions as well. But just want to say, also nice to hear that we're leader of the pack in this area.
Oh, yeah, we like that. We like being the leader of the pack.
So thank you for what you all are doing for us as I defer for the next 5.5 minutes.
Okay. Did you all have any additional questions? If not, I would like to take the next maybe couple of minutes to ask Kelly and team to just share anything else they'd like us to know.
For me, I really would love for Breanne and Darylyn to be able to share their thoughts with you. But what I want you to know is that you can be incredibly proud of the work that happens here. This team is one of the highest performing teams that I've worked with in 30 years. They are so dedicated to the girls. I could tell you story after story about what they have done in the last 2 months to make sure the girls have things. Because one of the first things that happened is that we have a lot of families that couldn't get to the central feeding where they were giving out food. They didn't have transportation. They couldn't get there. So the only way that a lot of our families even ate was because the counselors were literally going to the store, buying things for them with whatever money we could come up with and delivering it. Like for example, one night I got a phone call from the social service manager, and they had a family that had nothing to eat at all. It was very late, so we sent 2 pizzas to them. I ordered 2 pizzas. We sent them, and then the next day she went back in and delivered a couple gallons of milk and a couple bags of food. We wrote a grant, and we're successful in getting $6,500 from a national foundation to provide food. So they're currently in the process right now of delivering. They have a plan to deliver fresh fruits and vegetables now over the next 6 weeks to these families. And we advocated with the school district to make sure that we could come and pick up the lunches for the students that weren't able to get to the local site. So those are just a couple of examples of the way that they dig in to make sure every girl has what she needs for her and her family to be okay. But is there anything else that we want to add to that?
I just want to say, not just our girls that we're serving, our transitional girls as well. Due to the pandemic, a lot of our transition girls have been requesting food, and I just was blown away that it was so much food in here, and I'm able to give my transition girls and their families food, toiletries, sanitary stuff, cleaning supplies, whatever is needed. So we're able to do that with the transition girls as well.
We do things like we had a girl who was moving out and she needed furniture, or another one that had a baby and didn't have anything for the baby. So they don't just, nothing's lumped. Every girl is seen individually, and every girl's needs are met individually, or we try to meet as many of their needs as we possibly can, with the eye on changing the trajectory of their lives so that they can see that there's another hallway, that there's another path for them if they are able to get on it. And that's why the numbers are so outstanding, because the goal really is to change their lives. It's not just to provide services, and so we're focused on that.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Kelly and team. We certainly appreciate all the impacts you're making within the community. And thank you for spending a part of your afternoon with us and answering our questions. So
we're grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Has left the meeting.
Well, you guys have one left and you're done. The day went by really fast though, didn't it?
No, we went by the way it was supposed to. I mean, it's not going by any faster.
It feels like every group has a different pace to it. The dynamics of every group. So for me, this is our fourth day doing this week. This is our fourth.
You guys, when do you end this process? When did you start?
We had to squeeze everything in 1 month, so we're doing all 10 teams in June.
Okay.
And we started the first week. We're doing 4 days per week every week this month.
You get Fridays off? You get tomorrow off?
I wish, and I thought I had a break. I could catch up, but then they do staff meetings. I have to still do a staff meeting tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah, but we do have a day like Friday to just do basic work.
Okay.
Because and it just depends when you're on. My daughter was telling me to get blue light glasses because yesterday, by the time my eyes were swollen, I had been on the computer all day. Yeah. Because I'm using two devices. I'm doing this and I'm looking up CHSP online on my Kindle, and eventually my eye was swollen. Yeah.
I actually had to go a couple of days without wearing my lens. I wear hard lenses.
Right.
So between that and, the device, like you said, I have 3 monitors that I'm sitting in front of, and then I'm on my, Kindle, and I'm doing this.
And then you have your smartphone. That's 3 devices at one time.
I literally had to stop for like a couple days.
I had a terrible headache, so I just went for a walk, try to get transition. Yeah, because I couldn't even look at the screen anymore. My head was hurting, my eyes were hurting. I said, okay.
Yeah, I just laid down and put a little pad right there.
That means it's time to stop.
And I'm feeling a little emotional still from that last. They were just like, every time they present, it's just always so powerful. The testimonials and really powerful.
Yeah. All right, girls, y'all got to keep the emotion out of it.
No, I'm just saying it was really powerful. Oh, trust me, I'm an HR lady. Where's my emotion? I don't think I have feelings. People don't know that I have feelings, Cara. Don't tell anyone in SHRM that I have feelings.
Right, Sean. Yeah, right.
I put them in my pocket at work, though.
There you go.
This is business. But no, I was very impressed with their application for the most part because.
Good. Great.
In some cases, you know what to expect. You know, with some of the agencies, you know what to expect.
Absolutely.
And you aren't disappointed. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I kind of knew coming in, even before I finished the application, I knew that the Center for Independent Living was going to be on top of, certain ones you just know they're going to bring it each time.
Yep.
Any questions you have will be more so a point of clarification.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the chemistry of the team.
Yeah, it's a good team. You guys are a great team to get. We have not had a single team with conflict. We have had one team member emotionally at the deliberations cry because we didn't have enough money.
We'll get the deliberation stuff next.
She literally cried. Oh.
Yeah, and that was, I felt bad.
I'm not going to do that.
I noticed
how
it looks like we have members from the other agency starting to join us.
Okay.
She moved him.
Mm-hmm.
Just eat your Wheaties next week, Thursday, okay?
Yeah.
I've never had Wheaties. I don't even know it.
They look. I never got behind that.
Mm-hmm.
I said they look
like
terrible. I don't want to try them.
They're right up there with the Raisin Bran for me. No thanks.
I'm not a cereal person, so
I don't do cereal. Too much sugar, and I don't do milk like that. So
yeah,
I don't like a friend of mine that says the same thing. I don't do milk, and milk doesn't do me.
Well, Chris, you are a male representative. How does that feel to be surrounded by a bunch of beautiful women?
So, being a social worker, it's kind of the norm almost. So I've grown used to it over the past 8 to 10 years being in the field. So I usually kind of sit back and let and go where I'm pointed to go and try to solve those issues there.
Smart man.
Yep.
Profession has prepared you to be a great, outstanding husband.
Yeah. That's the same
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. It's the same thing at the house. I go where I'm told.
Good job.
And don't do any more than that.
All right, we've got about 2 minutes, so if you need a quick break. So glad I got the grande chai tea latte this morning. It's done me well.
Oh, yummy. That is so good. I love that. So with soy. I have not tried it with the soy.
Yeah, that's the way to add. Cut the calories.
Yeah. Well, I like almond milk.
Soy. It's even better.
Is it better with the soy? I may try that.
I like it better with the soy. I think it's really good.
I've never had it with anything else, so I don't.
Really? Yeah, I'll try it with soy. I normally lean toward almond milk.
But Red Eye Coffee has a really good one. Starbucks was closer this morning, so.
Well, that's where I normally go. I'll try it. I'll add it to my list.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of hard to mess up a chai, though.
Well,
you can, but Duncan manages to do so.
Duncan's chai tea is too sweet for me.
It's too sweet. It's inconsistent. You're never going to get the same thing more than one time in a row. It tastes different every time. So I just stopped going there for that.
Their iced coffee is like that too. It's usually too sweet, but sometimes you get something completely unexpected. So.
Oh, really?
It's super sweet. And the size is, I ordered what I thought was a medium.
Small. It's small.
I know.
It is? Oh.
It's huge.
Oh, really?
I was like, is this going to fit in my holder? thought I was doing a good thing, right?
Oh my gosh. All right, Virginia, I think we're ready. I think Pat went away, but I think we're ready. It's 1:30.
All right, Dr. Thomas. So I have yourself, Carrie, Miccosukee Youth, which I think is Miss Mary Young. And then I have T. Lee. Is that everybody for you today?
He knows that his taser's been taken from him. Can't see any blood. That won't be overly graphic here.
Alrighty. Good afternoon. If you guys could mute your phones if you're not speaking, please, just to get started. Ms. Young, do we have all your folks that will be joining the call today on? Are you able to hear us? Hi, who's leading the presentation today? Are you all
Mary Young. Miss Young just called in.
Has joined the meeting.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Young. How are you? Welcome in.
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Great. Do we have everyone that will be joining from your organization with us today?
I see Miss Carrie Herring is here. Mr. Mills, I saw his picture. I don't see his name at the bottom.
Okay, great.
Should be Carrie Herring. Yes, it should be Carrie Herring, along with Miss Patty Ball Thomas.
Okay, they are all here. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
Again, if you're not speaking, if you could put your phone on mute, or Virginia, you may have to mute some of those folks. Good afternoon. My name is Cara Palmer-Smith, and I have the pleasure of serving as the team lead for this wonderful team. So welcome to our 2020 cycle of the Citizens Review Team, CHSP. I've been a part of this process for 18 years. My day job is with CareerSource Capital Region as a senior director, and I am going to ask the rest of the team to introduce themselves as well.
Yes, I'm Mary Young, the Executive Director for the Miccosukee Youth Education Foundation.
Ms. Mary, I'm going to ask our team first, and then we'll provide you with additional instructions, okay?
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought I was here to echo. I'm Betty Rivers. I'm retired, and this is my third year serving on the CRT team.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Wells. I'm the program director of the Sickle Cell Foundation, and this is my second year being a part of this team.
Rosemary Farrell. I'm a community advocate.
I'm Sean Allen with the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers Association. I've been a part of this process for 6 years. I will be serving as your timekeeper today, and I just want to provide you a brief overview of the format for this afternoon. We will go through a 20-minute Q&A. What we'll do first is we'll allow you all to introduce yourselves. You will say your name and your role with the organization only, after which time we'll defer back to our team leader, Cara, and she will start the questions. I will give you an indicator at 5 minutes and at 1 minute, because we want to make sure that our team has adequate time to get our questions in. Again, want to reiterate, put your phone on mute if you are not speaking. And when the questions are posed, we just want to make sure that you maximize the time by answering the actual question first, and if time allows, at the end, then Ms. Cara will direct you accordingly. Okay, so you will have 20 minutes. Your time will start after your organization's introduction. Okay?
Okay, so Ms. Young, you can go ahead and introduce yourself and the others that are with us from your agency.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Young with the Miccosukee Youth Education Foundation, and with me today will be Mr. Tommy Mills, who is our board director, Ms. Carrie Herring, who is our secretary, and Mrs. Patty Ball Thomas, who is a member of the board.
Okay, and please remember to mute if you're not speaking. Your time starts now. So I will go ahead and ask the first question, and then I will ask the other team members to ask their questions as well, some of which may have been sent to you ahead of time. So the first question to get us started this afternoon is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your agency's ability to deliver services effectively? And and what about your budget? How has that impacted your budget and your ability to bring dollars in? So if you could start there, and then again, we will get the rest of the team to ask questions.
Yes, I'll start here. Yes, the COVID-19 came in at a point in time when our classes were in session. So after spring break, we have not had the opportunity to hold classes. So the COVID-19 definitely has had a great impact on our ability to continue in-person instructional activities. But we do feel that during the fall semester, when kids come back to school, that we will have an opportunity either to meet our kids in person or to utilize the online Zoom classroom format that Leon County schools are currently using over the summer. And also they use this during the latter part of the school year. So we definitely look forward to that. Now, as far as impacting our fundraising abilities, it did so because normally in the spring of the year, we have our annual fundraiser, which is the walkathon, where we actually raise most of our dollars for the foundation. So this year we were unable to carry that process out, but we do hope to, in the coming months, to be able to find a way to offset these dollars by using a different method of fundraising.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I'll turn it over to my other team members for questions. We'll start with you, Ms. Betty.
Yes. After the schools started the social distancing, did you all keep in contact with the students? If so, what did you do?
Yes, we sent out emails to our parents and also asking if they had any, if they needed assistance, if the kids needed any assistance, that they could call me or either call our teachers. So each student has a teacher's phone numbers, so they could call in and ask for assistance in reading and or math.
Did any of them do so, the children? Because I know they had information packets sent to them by the school.
Yes, the kids had information packets sent to the schools. We had a couple of students who called in, but not that many.
Right. So one more question. So are you keeping in contact? Because with children, they tend to get relaxed. And are you keeping in contact with them? Or, for instance, like encouraging them to read or track current events? Or do you have any contact with them now?
Well, that's I haven't in the recent weeks, but that's one of our goals and plans is to actually, now that we are well into our summer, and actually July is the month that we would have normally had our academic achievement program, but because of the COVID, we were unable to do that. So we are in the process now preparing backpacks with school supplies and contacting our kids for the upcoming school year. So we are getting back into actually working with our kids, and we are also finding out and talking with parents to see if they're allowing their kids to go back to school or are they going to use the online format for teaching instructional purposes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Chris?
Yes.
So, and looking at the 2019-2020 award letter, it looks like there was a concern that the agency was solely relying on CHSP funds. Did you all seek technical assistance to develop a strategic plan for long-term success and sustainability?
Yes, glad you asked that question because we definitely had not forgotten about that. And the board has gotten together and developed a sustainability plan, and I have it here with me. It's about a page and a third long here, but I'll go over some of the items that we discussed. For example, we have a grant writer who is actually coming on board very soon, within the next couple of weeks, who will help us to seek and write upcoming grants. So we think that's a plus for us. In addition, we have in-kind donors, although the in-kind donors are not giving money, but if we had to actually put forth these dollars, it would be insurmountable. So, for example, our rent is completely free. The Leon County Board of County Commissioners allow us to use the Miccosukee Community Center at no cost, including the use of the telephone, internet, utilities, building maintenance, grounds upkeep. So there's nothing that we have to pay for in that regard. Also, Advanced Business Systems, for the past 18 years, they have allowed us to use their copier at a reduced lease price, which is very little. It's only $25 per month. Celebration Baptist Church provides healthy snacks and meals for our kids on a consistent basis. And also during the summer enrichment camp, Celebration seek donors to provide the hot meals for our students. So we don't have to spend any money there. Other donors have provided computer equipment, laptops that we have at the center. Financial donors include, and these are ongoing financial donors, they include Shallow Amy Church, who gives money on a quarterly basis. Shady Grove Baptist Church supports us financial monthly. Tallahassee Learn Kiwanis Club supports us monetarily on an annual basis, and also Celebration Baptist Church gives us an annual monetary amount. So all of this will sustain our program, and I must say that until 2018, we had about $12,000 per year coming from the Bill Hader Foundation out of San Jose, California. But he passed in 2018, so we were no longer able to have that. So one option that we are exploring to replace that is to set up a Friends of the Foundation fundraiser, where we are asking supporters to donate $10 per month or $120 annually to provide funding for our foundation's activities. So that's in a nutshell what our sustainability plan looks like, and we will most likely continue to update this.
Thank you. Chris,
Thank
you have some questions?
She kind of addressed the other two with the board member, so I'm good. I'm satisfied.
Thank you. Rosemary.
Okay. Well, it looks like my questions that I had sent in previously were addressed as far as seeking other funding. It sounds good that you've got a grant writer coming on, and good to know also about the other donations coming in. I just wanted to say it's your outcome and measurement framework. I mean, I appreciate that these kids are able to make all the gains that they are. It's impressive that they are getting, 60, 70% are moving on and mastering the content. So I just wanted to say what you are able to do with not a lot is really impressive. So thank you for the work that you're doing out in Miccosukee. I appreciate it.
Thank you so kindly for those comments.
Okay, thank you. Sean?
Okay, yes, hi. So you've answered the development question that I had regarding the grant writer and the funds, because that is a primary concern. But also, I just want to kind of circle back to the engagement. You've shared with us several gains, but it appears that there's a gap in terms of maintaining engagement with, your core population, and how do you plan to regain that ground moving forward if school doesn't go back in? Because it sounds like, there's the potential to kind of lose those gains or to lose that population without more frequent engagement. So what is that? Can you give a little bit of more feedback on how you plan to re-engage those individuals after there's been such a gap?
Yeah, there would have been a somewhat of a gap since March, but I know it's not going to be that easy. But since most of our kids are in the Miccosukee and surrounding areas, and we know their parents, there's going to have to be some letter writing, phone calling, and we need to start this process early. Actually, as a matter of fact, it needs to be started next month. Starting the process, contacting our parents, and letting them know that we will be available to start our classes in August or early September, and just to get a feel of how many students will be taking advantage of our services. And we know based on past experiences that all of our kids the kids that we have had will definitely their parents will definitely want them to take advantage. And actually, I can see more students taking advantage of our program because of the corona pandemic. Because I can see because they've been out of school since March and also over the summer, some of them are going to be behind. So we're going to need to bridge that gap to help them to catch up.
Okay, thank you. I have one other question here, and we're right at 7.5 minutes. I'm looking at the CHSP program funding request, the justification form, and you put 1,200 to recruit and train 2 new board members. And I was just a little curious as to what that training entails. Like, can you provide a little more detail as to what type of training, what does that entail at $1,200?
Sure. I put that on because I know that on some previous occasions we have been asked about board members' support and that kind of thing. But we want to increase our board, and we are trying to get board members who not only have the experience but actually want to work and become a part of the board. So we thought that if we would offer the board members a stipend, and this would be sort of like a stipend, and I know you don't normally pay board members, but it would just be a stipend, and training also, because sometimes board members need to be trained for your specific program. So we will have some type of orientation training for our program to let them know what are their duties and responsibilities. And I think that's very important, because if we have a board member to accept those duties and responsibilities that we have laid out, then once they are on board, they know that these are my requirements. These are my expectations, and I'm expected to do this.
Okay, thank you. We're at 5.5 minutes.
Okay, I have another question. Okay, regarding
Betty, I wanted to follow up on the board question, if that's okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
And I'll go to you. Okay. So it looks like your board vice chair is in a different state, is in California. Can you?
Correct. That's correct. He's in Arizona.
Okay. On here it says San Francisco. Okay.
It says California. Okay. Yeah, because he's backwards and forth between that. Did I?
So typically do your vice chairs then become your chairman? So is there a?
Okay, say that again. I'm.
So a couple of questions related to that. Your vice chair has been a member of your board since 2002. Do you have board term limits? And is it the intention that your vice chair will eventually become your chairman?
No, it's not the intention that the vice chair will become the chair. When we first started, Mr. Woody actually was the chair, and after he relocated, because he's actually from Miccosukee, but he obviously moved to California and around. So then he relinquished his duties of chair to Mr. Mills. But as vice chair, Mr. Woody does so much from a distance. As a matter of fact, he's responsible for the Hader Foundation. He's responsible for getting those laptops. So he does so much via the internet and telephoning and just making contacts of those he knows around the country. So we are so appreciative of him for doing that. But at some point in the future, we probably should look at maybe I wouldn't say not to replace him because he does so much for the foundation, but maybe getting another vice chair number 2 if we had to replace the chair.
Okay, and then does your board not have term limits?
We have not set, to this point I can truly say we have not set term limits. But
okay.
that we have, okay. and it's because our board, it's because our community is small, and also because our board is small, so we didn't set term limits. But as I look at some of the board members, we probably should set term limits.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Betty, we'll go to you. I know we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay. I noticed in the award letter, I noticed in the award letter, it mentioned, it encouraged you to collaborate with local colleges and universities to secure interns. Did you all make any progress on that?
Not yet. We are continuing to work on that aspect, on contacting because I know I've made a couple contacts to Florida State, and so and also to FAMU. So we will be looking at that more, especially since we have the coronavirus, because our class, if we go back in person, it will need to be almost on an individual basis. So interns, volunteers will be very, very important to our students' success.
Okay. Well, I encourage you to continue to move forward with that because they do provide an invaluable service. It's priceless, really. So thank you for your comment.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Young and board members, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon and for answering our questions related to your grant proposal. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Okay,
thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 I gotta get out of this. I just want to leave the meeting. I don't know
Mary Young
has left the meeting.
I'm trying to figure out how to.
Hey, Carrie's trying to get out of the meeting. Can you help her, Virginia?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all so much for a great day. Next week, we have deliberations, which should go by very quickly, right? The forms that we have to fill out, they're due next Friday, right?
So everyone does have a copy of the assessment guides, right? So, Chris, you looking?
Can you send it to me again?
Yeah, I'll send it to you again. Can you, Sala, okay, you got that, Virginia? Okay, thank you, dear.
Yes, send us another set.
Okay, we'll just send a set to the whole team. Okay.
And thanks, Virginia, for forwarding us the other information that you've been forwarding us throughout the day. We really appreciate it. This has been a great process, team, and staff. Thank you all so much.
Right, real good team. You guys work great together.
Yeah. This has been an interesting day.
Yeah, it really has been. So we are, we don't start till 9 o'clock on deliberation day, right? So
I will log on at 8:50.
Okay.
Not on my 8:55. You guys can call my office phone, my work cell phone, my husband, my dog, all of them.
Your dog.
We will hunt you down, Cara.
You better check and see you don't have a tracker on here.
I will put a tracker on her phone.
I heard my work cell phone ringing this morning and was sitting here at my desk in my purse, and I said, ain't nobody but Pat's people.
That's right. You already knew what time it was. Pat will track you down.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So is there anything else we need to know, Pat, before we exit?
No, that's it. Reiterate this one more time. Make sure your forms are completed by the time you come. You may modify them because that happens sometimes when you're having the discussion and completing that analysis of each agency and program. But have them done so that we can all immediately start deliberations. Okay?
Will we be submitting those electronically as well?
Yes, ma'am. Please. Thank you for asking that question.
So complete them and then forward them to you all beforehand.
Yeah, you don't have to. No. Send them to us the next day.
Hey guys,
and send them to Virginia, please.
And just remember that whatever is on the form becomes a public record. So just keep that in mind.
Act accordingly.
But we don't have to put our names on them.
No, I don't have I've never put a line on an evaluation with a name on it.
All right.
That's very deliberate. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be accosted in public.
Yeah. Just give you a little bit of protectionism to some degree as best you can.
Listen, that does happen, where
I know, that's why I said it.
People have seen your name and they start to do it. All right, team. So Sarla has sent us the assessment guide, so you all should have that now at the top of your email. Virginia has sent it as well for double coverage. Okay. So you all should be good and have what you need.
Car, I just want to point out, if you are a Google user, you're using a Gmail, you might need to search because Gmail likes to categorize your messages. So don't think you don't have it. Go in your search bar and do a search by either CHSP or start typing in Team 9, and you'll see all the messages that you probably think you didn't get that you have.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Thankfully, I have ungrouped mine, so they just come as single messages because I couldn't deal with that stacking.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there in case a person wasn't familiar or didn't realize that's what was happening.
Yeah.
But I know Gmail will default to that if you haven't selected that you don't want it that way.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I've got to jump on.
Thank you, guys.
Soon.
Okay, good to see everyone, and you especially, Rosemary. I don't get to see you very often anymore.
Hang out with CHSP anytime.
Thanks a lot for continuing to support us. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, okay?
You too, be safe.
We look forward to hearing your decision making next week.
Absolutely. Should be great. Bye-bye.
Bye.